Here's the truth. Most professionals are only using about 20% of AI's potential.
That means wasted hours in emails, meetings, and projects.
AI fluency is the new must-have skill.
And it can save you hours every single week.
AI can turn meetings into clear notes.
It can draft polished emails in minutes.
It can build presentations faster than you ever imagined.
And it can help you make smarter decisions with data.
This course is practical.
It's designed for professionals in every role.
No theory,
no hype.
Just step-by-step ways to use AI in your daily work.
Even if you have never used AI before.
You will learn how to apply it right away.
And if you're already using AI, you will learn how to take it to the next level.
Less stress.
More productivity.
And more time for the work that really matters.
Let's get started.
So, what are you going to learn in this course? Well, the short answer is very practical stuff that you can use right away. You're going to get skills to actually use AI at work to save time and to make your days easier.
And we'll start by giving you the essentials, like how to get good results with AI, how to write prompts that actually work, and how to avoid the common mistakes. And even if you feel like you know prompting, we highly recommend watching those lectures because great prompts are the foundation for everything else.
Then we will move into your day-to-day work. Emails, meetings, presentations, projects, all the things that fill up most of your time. We will show you how AI can make each of those faster and more effective.
We'll also cover how to use AI for working with data, asking questions, spotting trends, and making better decisions. And you'll see how to connect AI with automation so repetitive tasks can be done on their own.
And if you ever dreamed of building an app, but you thought you couldn't do it because you don't code, you're going to love this. With Vibe Coding, we will show you how to use AI to create real applications in just minutes by using prompts.
And something very important about us, we believe that in life, everything should be fun, including learning. So we have prepared some role-playing moments throughout the course, hopefully to make you laugh and make the lessons even easier to remember.
So that's the journey. It is practical, it is fun, it is designed for professionals in every role, no matter what your background is.
And this course is not just about using AI. It's about helping you do the best work of your life.
Let's get to it.
I've been noticing something lately. So many emails I'm getting have these telltale AI signs. You know, I hope this email finds you well, EM dashes everywhere, no summaries at the end, and so on.
You know, it's like putting out a sign that says, I used AI and didn't even read it. It's not looking good. And those patterns are everywhere now. But how do people manage to get into it?
Well, it's quite easy. Well, let me show you. Probably the initial prompt is something like this. Write me an email to Sarah Miller at Banana Stack about the potential partnership.
There it is, the classic AI tell. The problem is that when you give AI minimal context, it defaults in the most common generic response that it has seen in its training data.
Exactly. So let's improve this example by adding layers of context. Going back to your example, who is Sarah Miller? Just saying Sarah Miller at Banana Stack tells the AI nothing about your relationship with her.
I agree. Good point. So let's improve this. Write an email to Sarah Miller, CTO at Banana Stack. We met at a London tech conference last month, and we had a great conversation about AI integration challenges.
Much better, but we need more business context. What kind of partnership do you have with Sarah?
Great note. Let me add that in. Banana Stack has an amazing data visualization engine that we want to integrate with our platform.
See, now we're getting somewhere. But there's still so much more we can specify here. What about the tone, the communication style? How did you and Sarah get along? It was formal, casual? that context really matters for how the AI should write.
So let's add that info as well and also give the AI a few more hints.
Perfect. And what specific outcome do you want from this email? This is crucial because the AI needs to know that.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's add more details. Mention that other partners have seen up to 20% increase in their revenue after being placed in our marketplace, and propose a 20-minute call next week to discuss technical integration details.
So look at the difference. It's the same AI are the same basic request, but now it sounds human because we gave it human level context. And it takes our suggestion without sounding pushy or templated.
This demonstrates a fundamental principle of prompt engineering. If you wouldn't give those instructions to a human, don't give it to AI.
And this is not just about emails. These techniques apply to anything else we write.
What we just showed are the basics. Prompt engineering is how you give the model instructions, and context engineering is the information you feed it, like who is it for, the relationship, the tone and style, the specific outcome you want.
There are more advanced techniques, for example, role assignment, like act as a sales manager preparing for a sales pitch, or providing examples, or by asking the AI to break down complex tasks into steps. But mastering context will solve most AI interaction challenges.
Initially, this may look like a lot of work, and it's not clear where the time saving is compared to writing the email from scratch. But once you nail this skill, you're going to see the results immediately and understand why this is a full transformation.
You know what, Val? I see a lot of people using ChatGPT as if it were a Google search. They type a query, get an answer, and then they are done.
But it's called ChatGPT for a reason. Nothing great comes from a single interaction unless you just need to know the capital of France or something.
Exactly. It needs to be a conversation. Let's go back to that email with Sarah Miller and the example that we built before.
Yeah, good idea. So remember this email? Even with all the context we added, this is just the starting point.
So instead of stopping here, let's keep going on. Remember how she said that she prefers direct communication? This email might be too long for her and lacks urgency.
I agree. Let's go ahead and change this. Make this email shorter and add more urgency about timing.
See, it's better, but let's keep going. The AI doesn't know about your availability next week, so let's make it easier for Sarah to say yes.
We didn't add that information. Let's do that. Add specific days and times for the call, like Tuesday or Thursday afternoon next week.
See how iteration improves it? But here is why this works. With each response, the AI builds a better understanding. And crucially, you're also learning what works and what doesn't. Seeing the response helps you refine your next request. It's a feedback loop.
And here's where it gets really powerful. The conversation doesn't stop at what email. Let me show you. Create two variations, one more urgent if we need to close by the end of the quarter, and one to CC her CEO for visibility.
There you go. The AI remembers everything about Banana Stack, about Sarah, about the partnership details. You don't have to re-explain every time.
Let's also try something else. Actually, forget the variations. Transform the previous email into a LinkedIn message instead.
See? See how the context carries through? Each request builds on what came before. You're not starting from zero every time, and you can iterate until you get something that works for you.
The mistake that people make is thinking they need to get it perfect in one shot. But conversation is how we naturally communicate complex ideas.
So stop thinking, what can AI do? And start thinking, what can we do together? Your best work will never come from a single prompt. It comes from this back and forth refinement.
You know that feeling when someone at work gives you a completely vague request, like, can you handle the HR project? And you're wondering, what am I supposed to handle?
Right. You want to help, but you need way more information. What's the timeline? What's the budget? Who else is involved? The thing is, an AI has the exact same problem.
But here's the issue, it's often too polite to ask. And when it doesn't ask for more details, then it just makes assumptions and it gives you something generic, which is rarely useful. So let's change that.
Let me show you how. Let's say I need help with something complex, but I honestly don't know how to put that information or what information is relevant. So I will say, create a project timeline for our product launch.
Completely generic, it had to guess everything: team size, what kind of product, current status, dependencies, not useful at all.
But watch what happens when I add this simple instruction at the end. Create a project timeline for our product launch, but before you respond, ask me any clarifying questions to give me the best possible timeline.
Wow, look at that transformation. Same request, but now instead of making assumptions, it's asking for exactly the context it needs.
And this is the main idea here. The AI actually knows what information would make its response better. It just needed permission to ask for it. This approach is called reverse prompting.
So, when should you use reverse prompting? It's perfect for complex tasks, like when you're not sure what details are relevant, or when you are doing something for the first time and you just don't know where to start.
Whenever you are wondering if your request is clear enough, try reverse prompting. Sometimes the AI knows important aspects you haven't even considered, like asking about compliance requirements you forgot about or seasonal factors you didn't think to mention.
The bottom line here is simple. When in doubt, add to your prompt, ask me follow up questions, and the results you get will be better.
Even if you're following all the advice we shared, like adding context, having conversations with AI, being specific about what you want, there's still a good chance that the output looks like it is AI generated. It will still not sound like you.
Right. I mean, look at this. On the left, we have a typical AI generated email, and on the right, how you would actually write it.
Yeah. And you can notice that both emails have the same content, same information, just a totally different feel. And here's the thing, if you never told AI how you write, why would you expect it to magically sound like you? So it is unfair to complain about generic AI style when you never actually shown it your style. And that's the gap that we're filling today.
Let's start with what most people are already doing without realizing: zero shot prompting. Zero shot means you are giving the AI instructions, but zero examples of what you want. You are essentially asking it to guess based on its training data.
So here's a typical zero-shot prompt. Write a friendly but professional email declining a vendor pitch about their new analytics tool due to budget constraints.
See that? It's perfectly fine, but it's also what everyone expects from the AI. Formal, safe, corporate speak.
The key insight here is that zero-shot works when generic is acceptable. Maybe you're writing routine confirmations, basic acknowledgements, or creating initial drafts. But when you need something that sounds authentically like you or your brand, zero-shot falls short.
What you can do is use one shot or few shot prompting. Instead of making the AI guess, you provide one or more examples of what you actually write.
So here's an updated prompt with 2 examples.
And look at that difference. Same task, same AI, but now is matching the casual tone, the specific way that Val structures his messages. That's better.
Yeah. And you can also request 3 different versions if you wish, just to have more options to choose from.
And here's what is really powerful. You can use this technique to write anything you want: LinkedIn posts, technical communication, professional emails. It's up to you.
The AI learns from your examples, and it's not just about what you say, but how you say it. And for more complex writing, like detailed reports, technical papers, or content with very specific requirements, you might even want to provide more examples. But honestly, for like 90% of daily business writing, having 2 or 3 good examples will transform your results.
The key is choosing the right examples. They should be diverse enough to show different aspects of your style, but similar enough so that the task at hand makes sense.
Few-shot prompting is not just about the writing style, it also influences the length and structure of a response.
So, we want to give you a challenge. Start building your personal example library today. Save your best emails, your most effective LinkedIn posts, your clear technical explanations. Trust us, once you see your own voice coming through AI generated content, it changes everything about how you work with these tools.
Okay, so watch this. I'm going to say, I need a step-by-step plan to send a satellite to Mars.
Wait, what? Well, you're a developer, not a rocket scientist. That's wild.
Yeah, and this is exactly the problem that we're tackling in this lecture. An AI tends to agree with everything we say and rarely pushes back.
So here's how these AI tools actually work. ChatGPT and similar AI systems basically predict the next word by looking at patterns from billions of examples they have been trained on. And here's the catch: they are configured from the start with instructions like you are a helpful assistant.
Right, and helpful is often understood as agreeable. These models are predisposed to say yes and validate whatever we throw at them.
So, how do you break this pattern?
The key is forcing critical thinking through your prompts. So instead of asking something like, is this a good idea, which will almost get a yes, you need to be a bit more strategic. Now, going back to that Mars mission, there are a few things that we can change here. For example, I could add, what are the 3 top reasons this could fail? And look at this. This is actual useful feedback. It helps me rethink the plan, consider other aspects, and most importantly, continuing the conversation and refining that plan.
Other great prompts for critical thinking are play devil's advocate on this plan, or what would a skeptic say about this? You're essentially giving it permission to disagree. And my favorite, what critical information am I missing? This one is gold because it forces the AI to think about what you haven't considered, not just validate what you have.
Now, let's talk about getting truly honest feedback. Sometimes you need to tell the AI to be brutal. Watch this. I'm going to submit a business proposal in 2 different ways. First, the normal way. Review my product idea, Uber, but for borrowing your neighbor's tools, an app where people can rent their power drills, lawnmowers, and other tools.
Typical AI response: mostly praise with gentle suggestions and a few concerns.
Yeah, and now let's ask it differently. Now give me brutal, honest feedback. Grill me like a skeptical investor who has seen 1,000 pitches. Now you can see here how the tone is changing. And this is the kind of feedback we sometimes might need.
One last pro tip: so that we are not too negative. If you're making a big decision, try this prompt. Argue both sides of this decision like you are two different advisors with opposing views. You'll get a much more balanced perspective.
And remember, you can apply this to anything: career decisions, creative projects, technical solutions. The pattern is always the same: force the AI to think critically instead of agreeably. Oh, it's getting late, but we're done for today. And I was just wondering, like, in terms of prompting, what's your biggest takeaway?
For me, one of the things that I like the most is the voice mode. The voice mode is just amazing. I never write anything on my computer. When I'm writing a prompt for ChatGPT, I just start talking. And I just go on and say everything I need to say, and then boom.
It's actually amazing in terms of providing more context, because naturally when we use voice mode, we tend to speak more than just typing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what I also love to do in voice mode or writing is using reverse prompt. This technique about asking the AI to make me questions before actually creating the actual response. That helps a lot to discover things that I didn't even think before creating the first prompt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Val?
Oh, actually, I use this a lot, and this is probably one of my favorite prompts, because sometimes I'm lazy, and sometimes I also like going for a walk, and I like to brainstorm. Maybe I have an idea, and I just take my phone and say, "Hey, I would like to do this. Ask me some follow-up questions," and I can just walk and have a conversation, and then I'm going back at my computer. Everything is synced, and I can just continue having that conversation there and getting what I want from
So you have
the app.
all your AI apps in your phone and in your computer is the same account?
It's the same account. All the apps that I'm using on the desktop, they're also on the phone, and that makes everything much easier.
I often use that also for work. Like I leave a meeting with some customer, some client, and then I just start in my phone. I start dictating the email or asking questions about the client before I meet with them. It's just so convenient.
I think we learned enough today.
I agree.
Let's
Yeah.
call it a day?
Yeah.
Mhm.
One more coffee?
Please.
For most professionals, 200% of the workday is spent on communication, emails, presentations.
Sorry, Gus. You said 200% of the day? Where did you get that number?
Yeah, you got it. It might have been an AI hallucination, but come on, sometimes it feels like that.
And that's the reason we're here, to show you how AI can make communication faster, clearer, and more effective.
Think about emails, for example. They just eat up your day. Drafting, rewriting, overthinking.
Or meetings where everyone talks for an hour, and at the end, no one remembers the action items for the next day.
This is exactly where AI changes the game by taking care of the repetitive, low value parts of communication so you and your team can focus on real work.
We will show you how AI can save you hours every month when it comes to writing emails, for example.
Or how it can capture meeting notes automatically and turn them into summaries and action items.
And we're going to see something that I love. You're going to be able to create presentations in minutes, keep projects organized, and you're also going to learn how to access knowledge across your team faster.
The point isn't just using another tool. It's using AI to win back hours every week and to free up your energy for the work that actually move ideas forward.
In this section, we will show you practical workflows to save time and cut through the noise so that communication works for you and not against you.
You have to agree on this with me. Emails eat up too much of the day. You start with a couple bullet points, and before you know it, you spend 15 minutes or more reading and rewriting the same sentences. Happens to all of us. So I want to show you how AI can take those wrapped thoughts and instantly turn them into polished professional emails. It saves me hours every month. And once you try it, you'll never look at your inbox the same way again. All right, let's jump into a few practical examples so you see exactly how this works. There are lots of AI tools that can help manage your emails. Some even automate the whole writing process. But here I'll show you a simple yet effective way to save hours without setting up complicated automations. Let's say you need to email your IT team to congratulate them. So instead of spending time thinking about what to write, you can just open up ChatGPT or any other LLM like Claude, and we don't even need to type a complicated prompt. We can just say something like, I am the CTO of a company. I manage a team of 13 professionals, and I need to write an email to congratulate them because we met all of our goals in this quarter. All the projects were delivered on time, and all our clients and the rest of the company are extremely happy about our job. So write a motivating, uplifting congratulation email to my team. The cool thing is that you can say whatever comes to mind. It doesn't have to be perfect, just let it flow. Share your thoughts, and ChatGPT will turn them into an email you can tweak later on. Go ahead and pause the video for a second and read through this email. I actually think it is pretty good. If it was my email, I would probably make a few changes, and this is important. Using AI isn't about copying and pasting. We don't want the AI to do everything for us. The goal is to save you time. If this email would normally take 10 or 20 minutes to write, now we've got it in seconds. And you just need a couple minutes to edit it and make it sound like you. Now let's look at another example. This is one of my Gmail business accounts. I just got an email from a customer asking for a discount. I'll click reply, then click this little pencil icon and send a short prompt to Gmail's AI, something like, I understand it might seem pricey, but here's why. And here we have the responsive growth. It's good, but it changed part of how I was handling that objection. And that brings me back to what I said earlier. We always need to review and edit whatever the AI gives us. But for now, let's use AI to keep editing. I'll click on Refine, and I can choose to formalize, elaborate, or shorten. Let's shorten it a bit. Now it is rewriting the email, and all I have to do is click Insert. And after that, I can make any final edits I think are needed. But what if your email provider doesn't have built-in AI? Well, here's another example. I just got an email inviting me to speak at a conference. So I will copy this email and share it with ChatGPT. Then I just dictate what I want to say. I am going to share with you an email inviting me to speak at a conference. Let Sarah know that I cannot do it on that particular day, that I am available on the 19th, and if it does not work out, let her know that I will be more than happy to collaborate in the future. Be friendly and brief. As you see, I forgot to say, here is the email that I received. And that's fine. I could have re-recorded this, but I want to show you that I am thinking out loud as I go. And that's important. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to talk with the AI. Here we have the response, and of course, I could send a follow-up message and improve it. But let's go to a more elaborate example. Here you have an advanced prompt. And as you can see, it includes plenty of context. The idea is to let ChatGPT know who you are, what company you work for, your position. Include whatever information you think is useful. Then tell ChatGPT what you want, what the purpose of the email is, and finally, your notes or ideas. So this is an example of a sales director that needs to send a weekly email to their team. And we're going to copy all of this prompt, and this variable, the one that says insert the notes here, this is important. We'll come back to it. For now, we'll paste the prompt into ChatGPT, and for this example, we are assuming that this person has some rough notes about what they want to tell their team. So we'll copy those notes and we'll paste them where it says insert. Then send the prompt, and we get a well organized email with the structure that we asked for. Of course, you can change this prompt however you like. You can tell ChatGPT what your style is or any other detail that can help the AI write the emails the way you want. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Now let's jump to the next one.
Okay, my turn. You've seen how AI can help with emails, but what about the biggest monster, the inbox itself? The inbox is always overflowing, and the calendar somehow manages to double book you at the worst times. The good news? AI can actually help clean up the mess. It can prioritize what matters, draft quick replies, and even prep you before you step into a meeting. For this lesson, I will use Gmail and Google Calendar, and therefore its integrated Gemini AI tool. But remember, we don't teach tools, we teach skills. So you can do the same strategies with other email providers and their integrated AI helpers. Let me show you how to finally feel on top of your day. And here we are on my inbox. I will click here on the Gemini icon, which opens the chat panel. Now, Gemini is suggesting me some prompts here, but honestly, these are not the ones I would use. So, the real powers actually comes when you write your own prompts. So, let's start by doing some natural language searches. To do that, instead of clicking through filters and folders like we used to do before, now you will just ask for what you need. So watch this. I will put here show emails from yesterday that explicitly ask for my answer. And there you go. Only the emails that actually need my response. No more hunting in your inbox. Also, you can ask things like which emails have attachments that I haven't downloaded, or filter emails by specific senders, by dates, whether they are read or unread. Basically, any smart search that you can imagine. This is basically a super intelligent search bar that actually understands what you mean. But here's what it gets interesting, because we can use the AI assistant to analyze patterns in our inboxes. So I will put who are my top 5 email senders this month. So look at that. Now I know where my email reading time is being used, and I can see if there is something I can do about it. You could also ask what percentage of your emails are actually urgent versus just for your information, or even what time of day you receive the most important emails, and many other queries that are related to inbox analysis on demand. Now it comes my favorite part, which is intelligent cleanup. Watch how fast this works. I will say show promotional emails older than a week that I can delete. And there we go. I love deleting useless emails. Who doesn't? Other things you can do in terms of cleanup, besides deleting emails, is saying, show me email threads that are resolved and can be archived, identify newsletters I can unsubscribe from, and many other things that will make Marie Kondo so proud of us. But it's not just about finding emails, it's about understanding them. Let's do this. Give me a compacted digest of all project updates from my team, and instead of reading 50 separated emails, I get one clean summary. You could also ask to summarize all client feedback from this week or list all the action items from today's emails. Forget about information overload. This is actual insight. And talking about overload, so far we have covered a lot. Natural language searches, pattern analysis, smart cleanup, thematic summaries. But since there is so much more you can do, like follow-up management report preparation, bulk actions, but this lesson can't go forever, so I have prepared a PDF with hundreds of useful prompts that will give you tons of ideas on how to save clicks and time. But now, here's where things get really powerful. connecting your inbox with your calendar. Let's see this example. I got this email here asking for a meeting tomorrow at 4:30 p.m., but instead of switching tabs a million times between inbox and calendar, what's this? Check in my calendar if there is any conflict tomorrow for this meeting at 4:30 p.m. It says that there is actually a conflict at that time, so let me ask for alternatives. Then, when can we do it? Propose 3 time slots that I have free for Monday. And there you go. This is perfect. But now, instead of writing a whole email back to Gustavo, I will ask Gemini to do it. Answer this email proposing to do it on Monday at 10 a.m. instead. Mention the original time conflicts with another commitment. And when I got the draft answer, I can insert it with the insert button. Once Gustavo confirms, I can create the calendar event right from here. So Gemini can handle the invite and everything. So create an event in my calendar for that meeting and send an email to Gustavo with the link. And this was just one example. You could implement things like pre-meeting briefs, where, for example, 15 minutes before any meeting, ask Gemini to check emails from all attendees and summarize what have been discussing, and this will give you instant context. Even something simple like list all my meetings from this week can help you stay organized. And remember what we always say, it's not about using AI just because it's there. It's about leveraging it for real, everyday tasks that actually matter. Your inbox doesn't have to be that monster under the bed anymore. Keep learning with us in the next lesson.
All right, picture this. You just finished a 1-hour meeting. 10 people attended, lots of ideas and to-dos bounced around, but by the end, no one remembers who's supposed to do what. Sounds familiar? But it doesn't have to be like this. AI can take notes for you, create action items, deliver a summary that actually makes sense. You can also review the recording later on and even ask questions in case you forgot something. No more lost details, no more confusion. So let me show you how you can make meetings useful again. On the market, there are plenty of options to choose from, such as Otter, Fireflies, or Bubbles. But in this lecture, I will cover the key functionalities behind my favorite tool, Fathom. Fathom easily integrates with all major conferencing tools, such as Zoom, Google Meet, or Teams. And it has a very generous free plan. And it also works in 25 different languages. What Fathom does is join the meeting, record it, and take notes. Let me show you how a recorded meeting looks like. So what you'll see first is the recording of the meeting, so you could just rewatch it if you wanted, but that wouldn't be very, very useful. By default, you're gonna get here the meeting summary, which pretty much is a summary of the meeting, presents the key takeaways and all the important topics that have been discussed. This is also that you don't have to go over the transcript, which would be a bit boring. Apart from this, here on the right hand side, you also have all the action items. And you can probably notice that every action item also has a timestamp. So if you just want to understand what's the origin of that specific item, you can just take a look and jump directly into the video, which is very, very convenient. And also you can also copy these action items in various other tools. Now I wanted to show you the feature that I love most, and this is here, Ask Fathom. So Ask Fathom is a bit like having ChatGPT inside this tool. And you can just ask questions about the meeting. If you forgot something or you didn't understand something, you can later ask Fathom. For example, I don't know exactly what are the deadlines, so let's go ahead and ask. Which deadlines do we have for this? So I'm just gonna send it out and let's see what's coming back. So we're gonna see here that based on the meeting transcript, the deadlines are these. So the main deadline is Friday, September 12th. So this is in a nutshell how this entire information is being then presented after the meeting. And there are also many other features, but these are probably the most important ones. And I have to tell you, it works really, really good. So if you want to get started, simply go to fathom.ai, click on Get Started. You will need to connect with your Google or your Microsoft account and give Fathom access to your calendar. Also, to ensure proper integration, you need to download the Fathom desktop app. You can configure Fathom in various ways, from setting the auto record as you want it, but also deciding if you want to share the recording with others as well. But also many other settings in terms of integrating with existing video conferencing features, and also other settings and integrations. They are all available from the settings of Fathom. So I encourage you to give it a try, because I think you're going to get a lot of value from having such an AI assistant join your meetings.
This one here I love, and if you have to make presentations, then you're going to love it too. You give AI a rough outline, a few bullet points, maybe some messy notes, and in minutes, it turns it into a business professional looking presentation. No more endless formatting, no more late nights in PowerPoint. In this lesson, I'll show you how to go from just an idea to slides that impress without wasting hours with fonts or images. This is Gamma, an AI tool that helps you create presentations fast. You can sign up for a free account, log in, and you land here. For this example, let's say that you need to create a presentation for your Q2 sales performance. This is what you have written. You already have all the structure, but now you have to turn this into a presentation. Normally, that part takes hours, choosing fonts, layouts, and images. So what we're going to do now is copy all of these, click Create New, and Gamma gives you a few options. I'll go with Paste Text, since we already have all our notes here. And as you can see up here, we have these options: presentation, web page, document, social media. I'm going to choose presentation. Now let's choose traditional. And here it asks, what do you want to do with this content? I'm going to choose preserve this exact text. That being said, it doesn't always preserve the exact text, so be careful with that. Now it has divided our text into 7 different sections, and each one of those will become a slide. Down here you see 7 cards total, which are the slides. But we could also go to freeform. Right now it is in card by card, as you see. If we click on freeform, we can choose here how many slides we want. I can keep increasing the number of cards, but let's leave it at 10. And here we can choose again if we want to generate text, if we want to condense it, if we want to summarize this, or if we want to preserve it. We can also choose the language. And in visuals, you can pick a theme, either a built-in one or one customized to your brand. I have these 2 custom themes, which are the ones I normally use. If you click on a standard, you will find the pre-designed templates, and you can pick whichever you like the most. And down here, you can choose what kind of images you want: stock photos, web images, AI generated images, illustrations, and so on. For this example, I am going to let Gamma decide for me. And if you wanted, you could add additional instructions here. We don't need to, so let's click Generate. And look at this beauty. In less than 2 minutes, Gamma created the full presentation for us. You can edit anything: text, layout, or images, just like you would in PowerPoint. So for example, let's say that it's not North America. You want to say just America. Okay, then you can fix it there. Or let's say that you want this to be bigger. You go here and you can choose different sizes. You could also click here and you have all these different options. For example, you can add an item after, and now you have another column. And if you change your mind, click Ctrl Z and it is back to normal. And right here, you have more options. Feel free to play with all of these. It is incredibly intuitive. You can add images, icons, whatever. And graphics. You have the option of adding videos, websites, and form buttons. So it is just fantastic. Now let's say that you don't like this image. Then just click on the image, and down here you see that it says edit image. It brings you here, and you can ask Gamma to create a new one. So let's say the image must show a human. Click generate. Maybe it wasn't the best prompt, but as you can see, it added a human being here, or at least the shadow. And it also gave us these other options. We could ask for more images, or we can just go back to the one we had before. And you can also still change the theme again if you want. Just go up here, click theme, then choose the one you want, and it will change the theme of all the slides. And again, you have the option of choosing your custom theme. Here, it gives you the possibility of rearranging the slides, and you can even add new slides with AI. Just describe what you need, like add a slide about customer success, and Gamma creates it instantly. And look what we have. Customer success, driving retention, personalized onboarding, proactive engagement, feedback integration. As you can see, this is incredibly powerful. It is an easy way to create amazing presentations in no time. Before we wrap up, keep in mind that Gamma isn't just for presentations. You can also create documents, PDFs, social media posts, even simple web pages. It is an amazing AI application. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and found it useful. I can tell you, this saved me hours and hours, and I hope it saves you hours and hours too.
Work chat apps are supposed to make life easier, but half of the time it feels like standing in the middle of a food fight. Messages flying everywhere, endless threads, and the one important thing you actually need is buried somewhere. That is where AI comes in. It can pull out the highlights, summarize the chatter, and even turn a random conversation into something useful, like a clear action step. So let me show you how to finally tackle this. In this example, I'll be using Slack with a Pro plan and AI enabled. We'll take a look at 3 AI features included in this plan. First, let's check this channel, Operation Provider. Well, the conversation that is here is already pretty long, and there's really a lot of information, probably more than we can easily read in just a few minutes. So what to do about it? Well, locate this button here, and this will show us some AI features that are enabled for this conversation. So if you click on this, we're going to see here that we can summarize the channel. And we have here a few options. We can just summarize the unread messages, just in case we have been on holiday for a few days or a few weeks, ideally. And we just want to see like exactly what has happened from that point of view. We can just summarize a specific period, like the last 7 days, or even a custom date range, just in case we just want it for a specific period. That's going to go here with the last 7 days. What we want to see here on the right-hand side, Slack creating a summary of what has happened. We can see here that there are discussions about operation name, about choosing a CRM provider, defining evaluation criteria, and so on. So this is like a summary of the persons that have involved, exactly what has happened. It's also possible to expand this and get a bit more details about what has happened. So this quick summary here is much better than going through the entire conversation here, because everything is organized in topics, and we can also see which person have been involved in those discussions. And of course, if we want to go deeper into that, we can go back to the chat and see that. But for many use cases, this would be more than enough. Now, apart from this, on Slack, it's also possible to have calls with one or more people and also let the AI take notes. So for example, here, let's go ahead and call Marcus. I'm going to go here and open up a new call. And we're going to see here that by default, AI notes are off. So what we could do is simply go ahead and start AI notes and transcription. We're going to get here some information about what this means. And this is going to be in English, but just in case, we can also change the language here. And let's go ahead and start this. So now AI notes are on. and our entire conversation is going to be tracked. Now, I'm not going to have this conversation right now, but I just want to show you how this can look like. So I'm going to leave this. And what we're going to see here is a previous conversation that I had. And we're going to see here, these are the notes. And we're going to see exactly who has attended, a very nice summary, and also action items from this. And just in case this was an important conversation that we want to share with someone else, we can simply go ahead here and click on share. And we can go here into the channel. Let's post it inside Operation Provider. And we're going to send it as a message. And if you also want to add some information about this, definitely possible. Just going to go ahead and share it as it is. Let's jump back to Slack and take a look at this particular channel. And we're going to see here that this particular conversation now has been shared. So others can also take a look at our discussion and understand what has happened there. Just in case we're not happy about something, we can all the time go back here and also make changes to this as needed. For example, let's say that something is not relevant. We can simply go ahead and remove that from here. So this is totally editable. And last but not least, I wanted to point out that it's also possible to bring applications to Slack. So if we're taking a look here under apps, we're going to see here the option add apps. And this is something that's definitely more relevant for an admin. But just to give you an idea of what is possible, it's possible to add, let's say, regular tools like, I don't know, Google Drive or Google Calendar as an application to Slack, but also AI apps. And when I'm talking about AI apps, I'm talking about having ChatGPT or having Claude or any other AI app directly inside Slack. And by having AI assistants like ChatGPT or Claude directly in Slack, you can use threads, messages, or even files as context for your conversations. So this can make things really, really powerful. So these are the AI features that are part of the Pro plan. But if you like what you've seen so far, you may also want to look at the Business Plus plan because it has even more AI features such as AI workflow generation, which helps you build workflows by just providing a prompt, AI file summaries, which essentially kind of like a way of chatting with your documents. You can get AI daily recaps over all your teams and projects just to understand exactly what has happened, what you have missed. AI search will also be powerful because it is essentially a way to chat with Slack and ask questions about what is happening throughout your conversations. But you can also get AI language translations just in case you're working with an international team and you need to translate messages. So this is how using these AI features in Slack can make your life easier.
Microsoft 365 is one of the most widely used Office suites. With Copilot, the AI assistant built into Microsoft 365, everyday tasks like drafting, summarizing, staying up to date become faster and easier. In this lecture, we will explore key use cases for Copilot in Microsoft 365. Copilot not only has its own site where you can use it like any other LLM, but it also is a personal AI assistant directly integrated into the applications you already know. Historic applications such as Word, Excel, or PowerPoint already include Copilot, so you can use it directly from there. For example, in the Word app, you can access it from this top bar, ready to use, and to edit your documents from there, or from this button that opens the side panel where you can ask questions and explore whatever you want through a parallel chat. Copilot understands English, Spanish, and any other language and learns from millions of professional documents. You don't need to learn a new tool, you simply ask for what you need as if you were talking to a colleague. It can create or summarize, it can analyze, improve. Basically, it handles the heavy work while you focus on the important decisions. For example, let's imagine that blank page situation. We hate it, right? You don't know where to start, your data is confusing, and you need to present it, let's say, tomorrow. Okay, relax. Let's take care of that document you have been postponing all week. In the text field, we write something like create a hybrid remote work proposal for our team, include benefits, challenges, and a 3-month implementation plan. And just like that, the work is done. If you don't like this first version, of course, I can rewrite it using this button, but if I agree with it, okay, keep it. Of course, this is not about taking things exactly as they come, but rather about having a kind of template where I can now input the company's actual data. Then we read it, review it, adapt it to our needs until we have precisely what we want. But what a great way to get started, right? Of course, post editing can be done manually, or you can also take advantage of Copilot's benefits. For example, I don't like, let's say, this paragraph because it's too long, let's say. So I select it, choose Copilot, and here I can prompt what I need to change. Or I can also choose between some specific options for this paragraph. For example, make it shorter. Here's the new proposal, and if I like it, I can keep it. And if something else doesn't convince you, just select the test and ask Copilot to improve it. You can make it more formal, more simpler, more persuasive, whatever you need. But now let's move on to Excel. Maybe you are like me and you love formulas, or maybe that's not your thing, and that's perfectly fine too. And here I have a typical Excel file with 50 rows of sales data, which I will provide for you to download along with the resources of this lesson so you can follow along in practice. And this file contains fields such as date, product, salesperson, region, and amount. Before we begin, you should know that in Excel, for now, Copilot only works if autosave is enabled, so keep that in mind. We click on the Copilot button in the ribbon, the Copilot side panel appears, and now if I want to know, for example, which salesperson had the best results, instead of creating complex formulas, we simply ask what we need to know, which salesperson had the best result this month. And Copilot takes a moment because it needs to analyze the data and perform the calculations for me. And now we can see that Sarah is the winner with over $16,000 in sales. Of course, having quick data is great, but we all like charts, don't we? So I ask, show me sales by region in a chart. And it thinks for a moment, of course, and after a couple seconds, there it is. A beautiful chart without having configured anything at all. But if I want it inside my worksheet, I can just copy it from here, paste it into a cell. Well, it's a bit large, but if I zoom out, I can resize it, then zoom back in, adjust it, and done. No formulas, no complicated pivot tables, just normal questions and clear answers. Shall we try one more thing? Yes, let's go. Let's say create a formula for a column that calculates a 5% commission on sales. Copilot is thinking for a moment again and provides a formula that I can copy, paste in the first cell of the next column, and replicate it so it applies to the full table. Copilot understands your data and takes care of the heavy work for you. Keep trying, play with it, and discover all you can do with Copilot in Excel. But before we wrap up, let's see how Copilot works in PowerPoint. This Microsoft application also has Copilot built in, and we use it in a similar way, but this time to create automated presentations. We are in PowerPoint, and as you can see, we also have the Copilot button here. This button simply opens the Copilot chat window where you can ask the AI questions, get ideas, request instructions, and so much more. But to create actual presentations in an assisted way, the best option is this small icon here. Remember that the location of the interface elements may change by the time you see this course, but right now it's here. And this button offers several options. The last one is the Copilot chat window that we just saw, but the one we want to use now is create a new presentation. This opens the creation window where I will write my prompt, which will be create a presentation of the benefits of artificial intelligence in human resources, 8 slides, modern professional style. But before hitting enter, I want to show you that you can select the graphic style of your presentation in advance by going to change design. There you can see the designs I used recently or all the templates available in Microsoft 365, which are quite a lot. For this example, I will choose this one. Yes, it looks very good. We click on select design and now we send our prompt. We can see that PowerPoint begins to design the structure of our presentation slide by slide. If I want, I can delete some slides, I can add new ones in between, or even reorder them. In other words, preliminary editing. Once I am satisfied, I go to generate slides, and now PowerPoint starts working hard, both on reading the content and designing each of the slides in my presentation, and this takes some more time because it's intensive work. And here we have the final result, a fully professional presentation which you can keep if you hit in the keep it button or make further changes if needed. Once you accept it, of course, you can still switch to the normal view, make more editions if you want to, but I want you to notice that Copilot not only prepared the content and the design, but also the presentation itself, with transitions and everything needed to make your work look truly professional. Honestly, I could stay here admiring this great work, but we need to move on right away to the next lesson to keep learning more about how to use AI in your work.
Let's be honest, managing projects can feel overwhelming. Ideas get lost, backlogs become cluttered, and many teams spend more time managing tasks than actually building things. And that's where AI can help. In this lecture, we'll explore how to better manage backlogs, stories, and workflows with the help of AI. For this quick example, I will show you what is possible with Jira using a premium subscription. Let's first start by creating some stories from epics. Let's take a look at this epic. Currently, it doesn't have any stories or tasks attached to it. Let's click on Improve Work Item, and from the list, select Suggest Child Work Items. We're going to see here that Jira has generated both tasks and stories. Generally, I don't really like the format for stories, so for example, we can remove them as they are. But I really like these tasks that have been created, so we can just simply go ahead and convert them to a story and also accept them. Let's take a look at one of them. Currently, the description is a bit lacking, so we can also go ahead again and improve the work item, and we can go ahead and improve the description. Now, obviously, the more information and more context there is initially in the description, the better the result is going to be. And we should always verify that the information that has been generated is actually correct. But I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to simply click on replace so that we can have this information. I'm going to go ahead and click on save here. So this is how you can improve this. Apart from this, there are also many other things that we can do. So we can just click on the description itself, and we're going to take a look. I'm going to try to find this button here, which is essentially the writing assistant. It allows us to do many things, including, for example, again, improving the description, but also summarizing, improving the writing, fixing the spelling and grammar, brainstorming, making it shorter, changing the tone, and even translating it to many languages. So I think that's something that's very useful to explore and play around to see exactly which of these is really useful for your particular use case. Let's take a look at another story that has a lot of comments. So if we are taking a look here, we're going to see there's a lot of information, and sometimes it's very time consuming to go over all this. So again, we can go ahead and click on Improve Work Item, and we can this time summarize comments. So what we're going to get here is a comment summary, and this is only going to be visible to us, and we can see exactly here what are the main ideas, and we can even add this to the description itself. So this comment summary can really help us understand what's going on. Just as well, we can also jump inside the comments and maybe ask for a status update or anything else. And this is also going to be AI generated. And of course, it does make sense again to verify the results. So not just send something sent by the AI. So these are kind of like the intuitive features that you can easily find around Jira if you know what to look for. But let me show you a few things that maybe are not so evident. From the project itself, we're going to go to all work. And what we have here is the typical JQL syntax, which sometimes it can be scary, especially for beginners. But now we can create our own syntax here in terms of searching for something. And this time we can use AI for that. Let's give it a try. On which stories is Valentin currently working on? So I just provided here a test description of what I want to search for. And the query has been created and actually even executed. And I can see here below the story where Valentin is working on. But this is not all. And probably this is the tip of the iceberg. What I like best is automation. So we're going to go here to this particular icon here, which allows us to create various workflows. So let's go ahead and create an automation. And what we want to do here is, first of all, return to the rules. And from the templates, what we should see is this option here, create with Rovo, which is the AI assistant from Jira. So we're going to create a rule just providing a description. When a new story is done and all tasks are completed, I would like to receive an email. So let's go ahead and see what Rovo comes up with. So what we're going to see here is a simple workflow. When your work is transitioned to done, and it is a story, and all the subtasks are done, then I want to get an email. So this is now ridiculously easy to automate and get started with. So even if you have no idea exactly what to do, you can just express in simple words what you want to do. And this makes so many things within Jira so much easier to complete. Check the resources folder for some additional tips and tricks in terms of using AI inside Jira.
All right, this one can be a game changer. Think about how much time you waste searching for information related with your company. Or maybe it's something related with compliance, internal policies, whatever it might be. Sometimes it just takes too long for those answers, and you need them right now. Well, AI can act like your personal search partner, pulling the right info in seconds. So let me show you how you can spend less time digging and more time actually getting things done. I am going to show you one of the easiest ways to solve this problem by creating your own GPT inside ChatGPT. For this, you will need a premium account. Go to Explore GPTs and click Create. With this, we can create an AI-powered knowledge base for products, policies, or anything your team needs quick access to. For this particular example, I am going to use the Udemy Business Catalog. The catalog contains thousands of high-quality courses, so let's create a GPT. As you can see, there are two tabs, Create and Configure. In Create, you describe what you want. In Configure, you set up the name, description, and upload your files. So let's go back to Create. And as you can see, it is asking me a question. So here you will describe whatever it is that you want. Your rough idea. It doesn't need to be perfect, and just send it. Now, as you can see, ChatGPT already started working and it gave me this output with some questions. And with this, you can start a conversation that will allow it to understand what you want. But for this example, I am going to create the GPT from the Configure tab. I will name the GPT Udemy Business Catalog Search Assistant. Then we add the description. This is just a reminder of what the GPT is for. And here is where you add the instructions. This part is really important. It will make a difference in the quality of the outputs that you get. You could write the instructions directly here, but what I suggest is to create a document where you write these instructions so that you can spend some time thinking through the prompt, the instructions, what you really want from this GPT. Now, as you can see in this example, we start with a simple context to let the GPT know what is its purpose or objective. Your instructions define how the GPT behaves, what data it should use, what tone to follow, and what it can or can't do. Of course, this is just an example. You could add or remove any sections. There are an infinite number of ways of creating these instructions. There is not one way that is the right way. I'm going to paste the instructions here. And if you're not sure how to write the instructions, just ask ChatGPT to help you. I want to create a GPT that helps me find the courses that Udemy Business has in its catalog. This is a GPT for my sales and customer success team. And I want them to be able to find the topics and the courses right away. I will upload a file with all the courses in the catalog. And I want you to act as a prompt engineer and expert creator in GPTs and write the instructions that I should give the GPT. And as you can see, it gave us a great prompt. But we're going to stick with the one that we already have. Something great about the GPTs is that you can update them at any time, tweak the instructions, or upload new files as your info grows. Here you can add the conversation starters if you want. Knowledge base, this part is really important. This is where you are going to upload the files that your GPT is going to use as instructions or to base the responses that it gives you. So upload your files here, and now we have our GPT. You can test the GPT here to see if it's working, and once you test it, you click create. And now you have these options. It can be a GPT just for you, or you can share the link with your team, but keep in mind that this will also mean that anyone with the link can use it. So if your GPT includes sensitive info, but you want to share it with your team, in that case, you will need an enterprise account. In this particular example of a Udemy Business Catalog, it will be no problem. Any company would like their public catalog or their products to be accessible to potential customers. And finally, you can also decide if you want the GPT to be in the GPT store. For our example, let's choose anyone with the link. And because I am using Udemy's name, it won't let me publish the GPT with that name unless I publish it as a private GPT. So let's change the name, and now I should be able to create it. And here is the link for the GPT. Let's view the GPT and let's test it. I'll ask, what LinkedIn courses do we have? And it instantly lists them all. And the beauty of this is that at any given time, I can go here, click on Edit GPT, and I can keep improving it. I can keep training it. I can go to Create, and I can have a conversation of what I don't want the GPT to do, or the way I want to communicate with me, or whatever instructions I want to give it. Or I can just write it here in the instructions directly. And it is very important for me to remind you that with GPTs at any given time, you can come and add more files, new data. So for example, I could add new files with course length or instructor names, whatever I want. Now, this was just one example, but you can build GPTs for any knowledge base in your company, like products, HR, or compliance, whatever comes to mind. So I hope you like this, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Well, that was a good day of work, emails, meetings, projects,
Not the kind of stuff that we normally celebrate, but it feels different with AI.
Wait, just said a good day because of emails? That's a first.
I mean, if it feels that,
That's right. And you have seen it yourself, writing emails in minutes, having AI taking notes for you, and so much more. That's what this section was all about, making everything work faster and easier.
Now, it is normal to be skeptical in the beginning. After putting it all together, you realize that it isn't about shortcuts. It's about getting time back for work that matters. And that's what companies actually want, more value for the same time.
And let's be clear, it's not about one app. It's not about Gamma or ChatGPT or Cloud. Tools will come and go.
exactly. And AI can do all the repetitive work. That way you can focus on the work that matters. You can make decisions, you can work together with your team, and the skills that you learn, they stay with you no matter if the tools change.
And just knowing these tricks makes everything feel lighter, like fewer late nights, fewer, oops, we forgot about that. And this is what changes everything.
That's right. I love to have more time.
And less stress. Definitely less stress.
Guys, this is incredible. The boss just sent us an email, subject, urgent. Choose a software. We need to choose a new provider this week.
This week?
Yes.
When does the contract end?
Let me check. 30 days? And I found something worse. There's an auto renewal clause in 72 hours.
Oh my God.
Wait, that's Monday?
That's Monday, guys.
So let me understand. We need to choose a vendor by next week, and we have 4 vendor proposals. We need to summarize all contracts, read all of that.
Well, not only that, but remember, to choose a better vendor, we need to be able to evaluate them and to evaluate the current one. So this means we need to go over all support tickets, all complaint emails, and to understand what do we need, how do we make this decision. So there's a lot of data, and I don't think we can do it.
You know what? We can. I have a solution. We should scream, we should panic, and maybe even making a meeting and documenting panic and screaming.
Okay,
Why not?
okay, wait, guys. There has to be a better way to do this. I mean, look at us. We have a lot of information to go through, but we don't have a system. We don't have a process, and I think that's the problem. And we can fix it if we work smarter and if we use AI.
Let's face this. We know there are many AI tools out there that can make this easier and smarter for us. But sometimes I feel reluctant to learn new AI tools because there are just so many. But I think this is the time to learn the right tool for each task and use them well.
But wait, you're probably thinking, great, they will show amazing, super cool AI tools, but my company only has basic ChatGPT and not so much more. But don't worry about which tool you have, because what matters is getting the job done. ChatGPT, Cloud, Copilot, different tools, the same job.
Yeah, and in fact, in this section, we will show you how to turn different data into clear, organized information that will help your company make the best decisions based on data.
And the methods we teach work with any popular tools you can access. You can use what you have. We don't teach tools, we train skills.
So, guys, we will turn this mess into a system. How do we call this operation?
Operation provider?
I don't know.
We're looking for a provider. Why not?
It's true.
Well, has sense. Operation provider.
Okay,
Then-
provider.
For operation provider.
Yeah.
Let's go.
In this story, we have tons of PDFs with information from 4 different providers. So it is time to turn this info into something clean and easy to understand. And I'm going to show you how to get all the information you need in minutes, not hours. Here is the important part. You are not just uploading documents, you are going to talk with them. Ask them questions, make them give you the information that you need. So let me show you what I mean. So we have a lot of documents that we need to analyze and compare. By the way, you will find all these documents in the resources of this lesson. So you can download them and try them out in ChatGPT or Claude. So let's start with the business proposals. Let's imagine that you're the CFO of a company and you need to compare these different proposals. You want to understand the key differences between them. So, what can we do? Let's start by telling ChatGPT what you want. Create a clear, visually friendly table that compares the four proposals side by side. Include main features, pricing benefits, and key differences, making it easy to read and understand at a glance. Do not add any other information. I just want the table. And look at that. Now we've got a clear table showing everything side by side. Company, background, implementation, main features, integrations, all right there. This makes it a lot easier to understand the data. That being said, using AI does not mean that you don't have to read the proposals. Keep in mind that the AI can make mistakes. You still need to read them, but now you've got a much clearer, more organized way to compare everything. So, what else can we do? We've already pulled out the main data. Now we can start asking questions about whatever we want to know, but maybe you're not sure what to ask. In that case, you could say, act as a CFO of a big corporation and tell me what questions should I be asking about these proposals. And look at that. Now we've got an awesome list of questions. This is great because it helps you catch things you might have missed. Now you can have a deeper, more meaningful conversation with your documents. You don't have to ask every single question, just go through the list and pick the ones that matter to you. Let's say that your top priority is section 1, total cost and financial impact. So I could say, perfect. Now give me the responses to all of the questions in section 1, total cost and financial impact. And look at that. Now we've got all the answers neatly organized and with a table as well. Now, since repetition is the mother of all skills, let's switch perspectives. Now, let's imagine that you work in the legal department and you are in charge of reviewing the contracts. First things first, do your job, review the contracts yourself, then upload them here. And let's ask ChatGPT. Prepare a clear comparison table of the 4 contracts showing key legal and commercial terms, such as scope, payment, liability, termination, and governing law. Highlight any deviations from our standard terms or potential risk areas for quick review. And do not add any extra information. I just want the table. Send prompt. And here we go. Look at this table. It shows all the key data from the contracts. So you can spot what's missing, what feels off, or what you should pay attention to. Now, let's take it a step farther and let's have a conversation with the documents again. Identify any clauses or obligations in the 4 contracts that differ significantly or could be easily overlooked and explain their potential implications. And this is fantastic. Now we're getting insights that help us understand everything much more clearly and effectively. You can keep asking as many questions as you want. And that's the real beauty of using AI. It helps you analyze, compare, extract data, and chat with your documents to make better decisions. And with that, we're ready to move on to the next lesson.
So we have already extracted all the contract data. That's great, but we still have these. Hundreds of support tickets, a lot of complaint emails, years of usage data. Somewhere in here is the real story of why our current system is failing. But looking at it like this, it's just, numbers. Here's what's changed everything. Instead of searching through every row and every column, I am going to talk with this data. Ask questions like, why are tickets increasing? Or what's our biggest time drain? The data knows the story. It's time to make it talk. To follow along with this lesson in the downloadable resources, I have left for you an example file so we can work together. It is a CSV file that contains 50 records of technical support tickets created by users of our company's software during the last 2 months. I know there is a hidden story here, and if we can get the data to tell us that story, we will save ourselves many headaches. Come with me to the computer to show you how I did it. So you should now download the example file, and let's move forward with this. We will use ChatGPT for this exercise, although, as we always say, the tool here is important, of course, but the most important thing is the skill I want you to develop. Therefore, you can try doing this with Claude or with Gemini or with whatever tool you have available and feel most comfortable with. And here comes the trick. Let's click on the paperclip icon to attach a file, and we will use this support tickets sample.csv. Can you see I have already uploaded the file? And now, instead of checking line by line like a detective from the last century, I am going to have a conversation with this data, literally. So let's start with something simple but powerful, like analyze this support ticket data. What is the most frequent problem and what impact is it having on our team? And as you can see, the answer shows a list with the most frequent problems with the precise info, which is the login issues are nearly half of the reported issues. So this is useful data. And I didn't have to go through the numbers, make calculations, or even creating a fancy chart to see this piece of reality. The data have spoken with me. And down here, we can see how this is impacting on my team. Of course, in a real case, you will read all this carefully, but for this test, we can jump right into the summary at the end of the answer, where it says that the login issues are the dominant problem and that they are overloading the team. This is very important info. ChatGPT didn't just read the data, it understood it. It's telling me that the login issues represent almost 50% of all tickets. So keep in mind that you may have received a similar answer in your computer, but probably your answer is written in a different way because the AI always gives unique answers. The important thing is beyond the answer you have received, you are having a conversation with the data and you can ask all the questions you want. Actually, as we have explained throughout the course, don't stop at the first answer that you get. Keep asking questions. Ask the AI to verify if what it tells you is correct. Go into details, question what you are not sure about, because it's a conversation. Now let's become detectives. I want to know when this happens. So, is there any time pattern in the login problems? Any specific day or period where they get worse? And the data is telling me that if we see it by day of the week, the worst day is Saturday, followed by Tuesday and Thursday. But if we see it by month, we see that this happens especially in the first 2 months of the year, very often. So certainly it's a recurring and consistent instability and not just isolated incident. This is relevant. This is relevant info. Now, let's make the $1,000,000 question. How much time are we losing solving these login tickets compared to other problems? And here is the bombshell, my friend. If we go to the conclusion title, we see that although login problems are solved relatively quickly, the volume of tickets imply around 150 hours of IT effort. We are hearing the story now. We learned that we are facing hidden costs, and if we solve the root cause, we would free up 4 full-time work weeks. That's a lot. So tell me about decision making based on data, but on steroids. At this point, we could continue asking as many questions as you need. The important thing is to make sure that you have heard the story. When a friend shares a problem, you don't just listen. You ask questions, you seek context, and you try to clarify until you fully understand him. That's the same dynamic with this data. It's telling a story, and you are not supposed to be a passive listener, but an active and curious partner. So, in our example, you keep asking questions until you are satisfied, and then comes my favorite part. I don't want just the problem. Also, I want the solution. So, let's write based on this data, what will be the 3 most effective actions to reduce tickets and improve customer satisfaction? And once the answer is complete, let's jump to the summary and learn that we have 3 main things to do here. Remove the root cause, that's the login technical issues, monitor plus status comms, and work on user skills to auto-solve some repetitive problems. 3 game-changer calls to action just by talking with data. Another interesting aspect is that with this approach, you don't need to create fancy graphs or dashboards to interpret the information. Of course, you can do it, and actually, we will teach you how to in a couple lessons. But the virtue of this approach is that you don't need to interpret graphs, but simply ask the information to tell you its problems, its strengths, its opportunities, and its challenges. The important thing is that in just a few minutes, we have converted 50 rows of boring data into a clear story. The data always had the answer. We just needed to ask the right questions. And this is just the beginning. Imagine doing this with your sales data, with your inventory data, with your customer data. Numbers will no longer be just numbers. They will be answers.
So we analyzed the documents. We found the patterns in our data. But here's the problem. Everything is in different places. The PDF analysis is stored in one AI chat. The ticket analysis is stored in another chat. Everything is separate. Also, finance sent their input by email, IT shared concerns in Slack. I'm using 3 apps, 5 email threads, and somehow we need to combine all this for the Monday's meeting. What we need is a control center, one place where we can upload everything, documents, data, team feedback, and have it all together in context when we need to make decisions. I'm going to show you how to build a decision room where you are at the center, collect everyone's input, add it to one smart space, and let the AI help you see the full picture. Then you share your summary back to everyone. Everyone knows what's happening, nothing gets lost. So let's build this.
For this example, I'll be using Claude, but the concepts are the same in ChatGPT and other tools. When working on a project, we typically have multiple chats. But all these chats have a separate context and are not connected. And if we try to use a single chat, typically the number of documents we can upload is very limited. What we need is a project, and this is a concept that we can find both inside Claude, but also inside ChatGPT. So let's go ahead and create a new project. I'm going to call it Operation Provider. And we should also try to describe a quick goal. I'm trying to evaluate 4 different providers and pick one of them. Now we have created this project, and what we have here is the following. On the left-hand side, we can have multiple chats, and this is where we're going to start a new chat. What's probably a bit more important is here the right-hand side. We can upload all the files that we have, but also we can provide custom instructions that are going to be valid for all the conversations that we have as part of this project. So let's do exactly that. So let's go ahead and upload all the files that we have. This is going to include, first of all the contracts and the proposals. They're also going to provide the support ticket data. Apart from documents, we may also have other sources of data, such as emails or Slack messages. So let's see how we can add those as well. Here's, for example, an email. So I'm just going to copy everything. And inside Claude, I'm going to click here on the plus sign, add text content. Just going to say here email and paste the content as it is. And for a Slack message, I'm going to do absolutely the same. Copy all the content. And add this as text content. So inside files, we have now all the context that we need. So how do we go next? Ask the AI to pick a provider for us? Well, not quite, because the AI has no context about our own organization, doesn't really know what we need. For that reason, I created this spreadsheet here with various criteria, their own weight, and also kind of like key considerations in terms of that particular category. Something that we're going to provide to have additional context in terms of what we actually value. Because this is only relevant for this particular chat, I'm simply going to upload the file to the chat itself and not to all the files that we have here as part of the project. Last but not least, let's also guide the AI with a very simple prompt. We are providing a bit of context in terms of what we're trying to do. We are explicitly referencing this CSV file, and we're providing instructions in terms of what we want to do. So we want to understand the evaluation criteria. We want to analyze all the documents. We want to assign each provider a score and also weighted total. And also we want to rank the providers and also summarize all this information. When doing such advanced tasks, I highly recommend enabling additional thinking or reasoning, or using a model that has this particular feature. I think now we have everything in place, so let's start the evaluation process. This is going to take a minute or two, but it's very interesting to follow along and see exactly how the AI is approaching this task. So we're going to see exactly how this evaluation is happening pretty much in real time. It's probably a bit fast to read, but you can always scroll up and see exactly what's going on. So after a few minutes, we're going to get the information that the CRM vendor evaluation has been completed. There are various files that have been created. We're going to see here on the right-hand side one of these files, and this is the entire analysis, giving us information about the criteria that has been used. We're going to get here also for each provider a specific score. So we could definitely go through this information as well. But probably one of the most interesting things is also information that is outside of what we have provided through criteria. And this is information that we have from our stakeholders, the CTO and also the CFO, and they have requirements here. And this shows that these requirements have also been considered. So this is a very important information that we're getting here. We know that the files that we have provided there as text, they have been taken into consideration. Now, just because this looks very nice and the AI has spent a lot of time generating all this information here, it doesn't really mean that everything is correct. And remember, this is a conversation. What we have here is the possibility of asking follow-up questions. So if we are unsure about something or have a suspicion that something is incorrect, we should just use the chat. For example, I don't know if the support tickets have been used. In making this evaluation and recommending a provider, did you also take into account the support tickets? And by the looks of it, it seems that the support tickets haven't actually been taken into account. So it's good that we have asked a follow-up question. Now, this may not change the final result, but it's still important to verify that all the information that we have provided was taken into account in case we have a suspicion. In a nutshell, this is how projects can help us gather all this information in one place and analyzing the documents and making a final decision.
So we have all the data extracted, analyzed, centralized. That's great. But when I showed my analysis to the boss yesterday, complete confusion. He didn't understand when I showed my fancy advanced scoring models. This is what we have: numbers, percentages, formulas. But this is what they need: clear choices, visual scenarios, if this, then that happens. What I am going to show you is how to turn all that complex analysis into interactive visuals that anyone can understand. Dashboards where they can move sliders and see what happens to costs, to risks, and to timelines. The best part, when they test these scenarios themselves, they feel like they make the decision, which technically they do. Let me show you how. And here I have these 3 CRM software proposals that the vendors have sent us. Look at this document. It has everything because Val did a great job putting everything together here, but it's certainly not a reading-friendly document. It has all these numbers, tables, lists of every useful data, but at the same time is so hard to process it. Look at this: core CRM functionality, automation and intelligence, integration and interoperability, and the same for every provider. Provider E, here we have provider B, and here the other two. Here we have even more information, all very nice. But when I show this to my boss, his face is going to be a picture. We need something visual, something they can touch, they can move, something to experiment with, and we're going to achieve that in just a few minutes. So let's go to cloud.ai and pick this plus icon to search for our document. And for a prompt, I will use this one that I have already prepared. Let me read it for you. I need an interactive dashboard with multiple charts to compare these 4 CRM vendors and make a final decision. Think of it like a business intelligence dashboard with different visualizations that work together. I want to see a comparison chart showing the overall scores, a cost breakdown graph for the 3 years view, and some kind of visual way to compare all the criteria side by side, maybe like a radar chart or something similar where I can see the shape of each vendor's strength. Also include a requirement grid showing which vendors meet our non-negotiables versus which ones fail on critical stuff. Make it interactive so I can adjust sliders or toggles to change the importance of different factors like cost, security of features, and what the rankings update in real time. Use a dashboard layout with charts arranged on the screen, not just cards stacked vertically. Color code everything: green for good, red for deal breakers, yellow for concerns, and the goal is to look at one screen and quickly understand which vendor makes the most sense for us. Then let's hit enter, and from this moment on, Cloud begins to create not only the response to my request on the chat, but also begins to create the artifact, the actual artifact that I have asked for, in this case, a dashboard. And is creating it inside this special window in the chat. Don't be scared by all the code that is appearing. You actually don't need to understand it or read it. You won't even touch it. It's only there because Cloud is going to generate a program which is based on code whose result will be the dashboard that we have commissioned. Once it's ready, that code will no longer be visible and will only be accessible in case you have programming skills and want to tweak it. But I insist, that's not necessary. What's important here is that Cloud is creating an interactive application right here without me writing a single line of code. And now, here we have it. This is what I am going to show to my boss. We are looking at the CRM vendor evaluation dashboard. At the top left, you will see the overall weighted score section. This bar chart displays the 4 different vendors competing to provide the CRM services. Provider C is shown in green, has the highest score at 88.30, making it the recommended choice. Provider B and provider E have decent scores, but both are showing in orange because this indicates that they have some concerns but might still be acceptable. Provider D, displayed in red with a score of only 20.70, it's clearly rejected as an option. Moving to the top right, we have the non-negotiable requirements grid. This is essentially a checklist showing which providers meet critical business requirements, and each row represents a different requirement like CSAM provisioning, 99.9% uptime, service level agreement, etc. Notice that these requirements marked with an asterisk are considered critical. Green squares indicate that a provider successfully meets the requirements, while red squares show failures. You can see the provider C meets all requirements, which explains why it scores so highly. In the bottom left section, there's a criteria comparison radar chart. This octagon-shaped visualization compares all 4 providers across 10 different evaluation categories, including ROI, scalability, automation, etc., all displayed around the shape. Each provider is represented by a color shape, and provider C in green shows the most balanced and comprehensive coverage across all criteria, forming a larger, more complete shape than the others. Finally, at the bottom right, we see this 3-year total cost of ownership comparison. This horizontal bar chart reveals the actual financial commitment for each provider over 3 years. Provider C costs 192,000 and is labeled as the best value. There's also a note warning that provider D's low cost comes with critical functionality gaps and unacceptable contract terms. The dashboard includes interactive weight adjusters at the bottom here, allowing users to modify how much importance each criterion has in the final calculation, making this a dynamic decision-making tool rather than a static report. Finally, we have some tips for adjusting the sliders and a final card with the conclusions of why to choose provider C as the right vendor for our company needs. So, wonderful. And it just took us fewer minutes than fingers on my left hand. But you don't need to stick with the first version that Claude delivers. You can keep iterating with all the improvements or modifications you want to implement, whether you need to add a new chart to your dashboard or changing an existing one, or even just a change of colors and style. You can go back to the chat and say, hey, Claude, change this or change that. And the AI will change the code until your dashboard artifact looks and feels exactly as you want. Okay, so I have my dashboard, but how do I show it to the team? Well, you have some super easy options. Option one, I copy the code by clicking this button, or I can download the code in HTML format, but this is if you have programming skills and want to work with the code. But the simplest way to share it is by publishing it directly on the web. You click the publish button, and a few seconds later, your dashboard is in the cloud for everyone to see it. You can copy this link and open it in a browser or send it to your boss so they can be amazed by the great work that you have done. This is how we transform a document with 4 boring proposals into an interactive decision-making tool. And the next time you have to analyze information to make decisions with multiple variables, don't present it in an Excel spreadsheet. Turn it into something you can touch, you can move, and experiment with. Let's continue in the next lesson.
Okay, we've done everything right. Documents analyzed, data studied, scenarios tested. We have 2 final choices. Provider B, cheaper, faster to set up. Provider C, stronger system, better support. Here's where most people would just pick one and sign the contract. But remember our current problems. They started exactly like this. Great demonstrations, perfect promises, excellent reviews on their website. But before we sign a 3-year contract with anyone, we need external verification. What are other companies saying? Are there any legal problems? Recent acquisitions? Are people leaving the company? I'm going to show you the warnings sign check. How to verify your final choices before you sign anything. Because the most expensive mistake isn't choosing the wrong one, it's not checking first. So it's time to investigate more.
It is time to add a new tool to our toolkit, and that is Perplexity. But what is Perplexity and where does it fit in? Well, let's try to put everything on a scale with tools that we already know. On the left, we may have tools like ChatGPT, which are very powerful, but the information can sometimes be outdated. And on the right-hand side, we may have, for example, Google Search, which is fast, has up-to-date information, but it's less capable at providing the exact answer that we need. So Perplexity kind of like sits in the middle, combining the powers of an LLM with real-time information and high accuracy. Now, the graphical interface of Perplexity may look very similar to ChatGPT, but this is where things are getting interesting. It's not the same. So let's try the following prompt and see what happens. Give me recent news, reviews, or customer feedback about the company called Provider B and include up-to-date information from 2025 and onward. So this would be the initial prompt. But apart from this, we can also decide which sources do we want to use. Want to just search the entire internet? Just want to look at academic papers? Or for example, only social discussions or even like finance information. So we could have here various options that we can enable or disable as needed. Now, bear in mind that Provider B is not actually a real company. So the information that we're going to get back here is not going to be accurate. But what I wanted to point out is that, first of all, Perplexity is going to provide here an answer, a summary based on its findings. But probably the most important information is inside here in the sources, because Perplexity is going to be very transparent in terms of where it got this information from. So we're going to see here all the sources that have been used in order to compose this information here. So in a nutshell, the strength of Perplexity isn't really in the summary that's being provided here, but it's actually in the sources. Let's go ahead and try a new chat and see if we can get additional information about a specific company. Any lawsuits, data breaches, or leadership changes involving provider B in the last 2 years? Now, this kind of information is what most people actually skip, so asking about negative events. And I can surface information that is generally not visible in the marketing materials, in the contracts provided, or in the proposals. So it's also important to look for such information as well. And last but not least, let's also go ahead and verify a claim for one of the contracts. Let's verify the following claim. So I'm going to paste here a claim that can be found in the contract from provider B. I'm just going to put it between quotes. And this is in regards to the service uptime. So it does provide here information about what this is, and it also quotes sources. Now, again, because this is a fictitious company, the results that we're going to get back are not going to be reliable at all. But what I want you to take from this is various ways on how you can verify claims, verify information that you're being provided, gather information about a specific product or a specific organization. So use Perplexity to fact check one of your own vendors, tools, or suppliers. So try to identify at least one potential risk that has been reported from reputable sources.
So, Operation Provider worked.
Yes, 3 months later, no emergency phone calls, and productivity is up by 20%.
But you know what's best? I can still drink my coffee while it's still hot.
But let's be honest. I mean, we show them a lot of tools, but what made the difference?
Here's what we learned in this section and what we hope you remember. The magic is not in these AI tools, ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever new tool comes out next week.
Actually, you know what? Probably there will be 5 more new tools before we publish this course.
And it's not only about the tools, but about using them in a smart way with a system, not just asking random questions.
You know what is interesting? We've been teaching AI, but the biggest lesson here is human judgment. AI is your analytical partner, not your decision-making replacement. My lesson from this section,
Besides never letting contracts renew automatically, right?
yes, that every decision that you make at work becomes easier when you know how to ask AI the right questions, when to check your answers, and where to use human judgment.
It's not about memorizing steps, it's about developing good habits. Now you know when to chat with documents, when to create visuals from data, and when to check outside sources. Real AI superpowers.
And you still own the decision. You still own the consequences. But you have the proof now. So whether you're dealing with software vendors, budget planning, or choosing where to go for the team lunch,
Please use ChatGPT to ask where to go for lunch. It's amazing.
And yeah, even for that, the skill works for everything.
37, 38, 39 form responses, all to copy one by one.
So started working on those forms already?
I had to. There's too much work. What about you?
Oh my God, I have these 5 spreadsheets, 5 different departments. I need to put them into a single report. My boss needs them by 9 a.m.
I will certainly need more coffee today, huh?
Me too. By the way, what you're working on today?
I have to go over all these notes all day long.
Oh, sounds fun.
4:45.
Here we go. Enough. This is the 21st century, and we're still doing things like it's 1995. We have AI, we have automation, we have self-driving cars. I can't believe it.
Well, that is how it's always been. It's part of the job.
Part of the job? Are you kidding me? We're wasting time here.
I think I have an idea. What if I told you that we can change how we work, and by next Monday, we won't do any of this? Hours doing reports, hours processing forms and meetings. We can skip all that with one key game changer:
What's that?
automation.
I don't know how to write code. I'm not a programmer.
That's exactly the point. You don't need to be one. You know about N8N?
No?
Well, N8N is not programming. It's like building with puzzle pieces. Your apps connect like Lego blocks, and no code is needed at all.
Are you saying that we can use N8N to combine all my spreadsheets into a single report?
Yes.
What about my forms? Can I have N8N just take care of that and send personalized responses?
Exactly. And not only that, and it can also turn all my meeting notes into board tasks automatically.
But why didn't you tell us about this before?
Well, I was waiting for this course to start. Now we can teach our students how to do it. This will be a very fun session because we will teach the students how to automate every boring, repetitive task at your job.
Automation means that the computer learns what you need to do, and you just need to do it once. You will save many hours by just automating this kind of tasks.
In the next lessons, we will show you how to use N8N to automate different tasks. We start with simple examples so that you can see how easy this tool is and how much time it saves you.
And for a change, let's make Monday afraid of you. All right, day one of your automation journey. But before we touch anything, let's understand the basics. To automate tasks in N8N, you just need to learn a few basic ideas that will make everything else intuitive and easy. When you create an automation in N8N, what you're actually building is a workflow. And a workflow is simply a diagram that connects apps to do tasks one after another. The only three keywords to remember here are triggers, which are the things that start the whole process; nodes, which are the app logs and actions we connect like a puzzle; and connectors, which are the lines that go from one node to another. Want an email to be read by AI to extract important information and based on its content decide whether to save that data in Google Sheets or create a Trello card? In that case, your workflow will look something like this. Here you see the trigger, the nodes, and the connector. The second important concept before jumping to the computer is that each block in N8N works this way: receives input with certain information, processes it, and sends output with the processed information to the next node. That's why every time you open a node in N8N to set it up, you will see a window with three sections: the input section, the settings section, and the output section. This is all automation really is: input, process, output. That's all you need to know, and the rest, as you will see, will be very intuitive for you to figure out, even if you are allergic to code. Let's jump to the screen to see this working in a short example. And this is the N8N platform. As you can see here, we already have a workflow created, which we are going to use as an example to show you the power of automation. In this lesson, we are not going to configure anything. Instead, this will be a quick demo so that in just 3 minutes, you will fall in love with the power of automation with N8N. This workflow basically consists of a trigger that will be initiated when a user completes their information in this form that we have prepared and synced with N8N. The trigger will receive that information and pass it to the next node, which is the Google Sheets node. And this node will take care of recording the information into the spreadsheet we have set up for this purpose, where the columns match the fields of the form. Once this node does its part, it will pass the information to the next node, which will check if the user's age is under 30. If that's the case, it will continue through the true connector and create a task to contact the user for a special marketing campaign. On the other hand, if the user is over 30, the workflow will continue through the false connector and the user will be scheduled in a different task list for a more specific marketing campaign. If we go to my Google Tasks account, we can see both task lists, which are currently empty, of course, waiting for new information to arrive. Now let's go back to N8N, and so you can see this workflow in action. Let's start it. From this moment on, it's listening, ready to detect when the trigger event happens, that is, when our form is used. So let's go to the form. Let's fill out the data. My name is Federico, my last name is Garay, and I am dangerously close to 50 years old. We submit the form, and now we can see that our workflow is in action and finishing up processing the information. If we go back to our Google Sheet, we see my data has been entered in the first row. And if we follow the green connector line, we can see that the node in charge of verifying age has identified that the user is over 30, unfortunately, and so it followed the false connector and created a task in the corresponding list for users over 30, while the other list is still empty. This was just one example of what you can do. My intention is to motivate you to accept the challenge of learning this skill that can truly change the way you work forever. I invite you to continue with the next lesson and discover the superpowers of automation.
Remember our Monday morning nightmare? 5 spreadsheets, different departments, one report needed urgently. This just takes too many hours every single Monday. So in this lecture, I will teach you how to use N8N to manage all of this and do it automatically. Let's go to it. All right, let's get straight to it. I have 5 spreadsheets here in Google Drive: sales, marketing, support, inventory, and HR. Every week, each team adds a new row with their latest metrics. And every Monday, someone has to grab the latest data from each sheet and create a report. Today and from now on, that someone will be N8N, not you. First, let's go to N8N. Click here in the big plus symbol in the middle. Now click on a schedule. We want this to happen every Monday at 8 a.m. So set it with weeks, 1 Monday, 8 a.m. and 0. This way, when you arrive at the office, your report with the freshest data is already waiting. Pure magic. So we've told N8N when to work. Now let's tell it what to do. Time to connect our spreadsheets. Here's the smart part. We'll grab all the data first, then pick just the latest row. This way, departments can keep adding new rows every week and will always get the freshest numbers. Click in this little plus symbol after a schedule trigger. Search Google Sheets, select Google Sheets, select Get Rows in Sheet. Here, we first need to connect N8N with our own Google Sheets account. So we will need to provide our credentials. Click on Select Credential, click on Create New Credential. Now sign in with Google. Follow the steps to connect. And we're connected. Close the credential window. In Resource, select Sheet within Document. In Operation, select Get Rows. In Document, search for the name of your document, in this case, Department Reports. In Sheet, from List, we'll select the first page, Sales. In Filters, leave it as it is so it reads all the columns and all the rows. Click on Execute Step, and now in the output panel, we see that it found our data. If you're not seeing here what I'm seeing, make sure that you are in the Table tab. That way, it will show you that all our files were taken, even when we only want the latest one. And now we will close this window. Now let's make sure that it grabs the latest one. Click again in this little plus symbol after the Google Sheets node. search limit, select limit. In max items, leave it at 1. In keep, select the last item. And now let's click on execute mode to make sure that only the latest row was selected. And again, you have to be in the table tab, okay? And as we can see, everything is fine, only one line. So close the window. And now we're going to repeat this for all 5 departments. But first, let's make this a little bit smaller. If you're using Windows, press the Control key in your keyboard, and with your mouse, use the wheel to scroll down. Now we make it smaller, and I'm going to select it all and drag it here. And now I'm going to select the last 2 nodes, Google Sheets and limit. Now Control C and Control B to paste them. And I'm going to speed this up and do the same 3 more times. Let's press this button here, tidy up, and boom, now it looks all nice. Next step, let's open each new Google Sheet node and select the right department sheet on each one. Marketing, support, inventory, HR. Perfect. Now we have the latest data from each department. Now for the magic, we'll combine these latest entries and ask AI to make them look amazing. No coding skills required. Click on the plus symbol of the first limit node, search merge, select merge. Now in mode, let's change it to combine. In combine by, let's select position. In number of inputs, we're going to choose 5, each one for each page. Now close the window, move merge to align with the middle limit node, and connect each limit node with merge. And time to execute the trigger. And you can see how it's going through each one of them. Wait until every node has the check mark. And now we double click on the merge node. And as you can see, it shows us the table complete with one single row for all the information of that week. 5 departments, 5 fresh data points. Now we need N8N to automatically put all these together in a single PDF that summarizes everything. This will need some programming code. But don't worry, as we promised, you don't need coding skills if you know how to work with AI. So click on the plus symbol after the merge node, search for HTML, select HTML. In operation, generate HTML template. And here in HTML template, you see all this code. Do not worry about it. Just click anywhere here. Now press Ctrl A to select all, and then the delete key, and it's gone. Okay, here is the part where N8N expects us to write some HTML code to define how the PDF should be developed. I will keep my word and I will teach you how to get this done without writing one line of code. See this little AI icon down here? Well, N8N will assist us in creating the HTML code if we are able to tell it what we need. So I will copy and paste this prompt that I had prepared with my specifications in plain English. And as you can see, it's basically telling it that I want to create an HTML executive report for this weekly department. And then I explain exactly what I want. Now we wait for the N8N AI assistant to create for us the HTML code that we need to fill out this window, but it will do it automatically, as you will see. And boom, it's ready. Now let's double click in HTML again. And as you can see, the code has been generated. And this is how our PDF will look like, but with the updated data every week without us doing anything at all. Now, let's send this via email so that we can download it as a PDF. So let's add one more node. Click on the plus symbol after HTML, search for Gmail, select send a message, and in credential to connect with, create new credential, follow the steps again to connect with Google. Here, select message. In operation, select send. In to, add the email where you want the email to be sent. In subject, for this example, we're going to name it weekly report all departments. In email type, select HTML. And in message, do you see this little icon here? Click on it and hold it and drag it. Drop it here and it is ready. Now close window and we are done. Our workflow should be ready to work properly. So let's execute workflow. Again, wait for all the green check marks to appear and go to your email inbox. And here we have it. Look at that email. So let's open it. And it looks perfect, just like we wanted. And now the next step will be to print it. If you click on this icon and just print or save as PDF. So this is it. I know it might take a little while to set up everything, but it will be the last time you will have to use your time to create this PDF every week from now on. Never again. Now there's two more essential steps. First, make sure that you save all of this progress. And the last step, to have this workflow live, toggle inactive to active. And we are done. From spreadsheet rows to boardroom ready report. And you didn't write a single line of code. That's what I call a Monday morning win. Professional, accurate, and totally automated. From now on, your departments can keep updating their sheets throughout the week. And every Monday, N grabs the latest row from each one and creates your report. No more copy and paste marathons, just fresh data delivered on time.
Remember our 39 form responses from Monday? The ones we were copying one by one? Well, ancient history. Now, every form submission automatically sends a personalized email response. Customer question, they get the sales presentation. Support request, ticket created. Event registration, welcome information sent. The forms keep coming 50, 60 a day now, but the difference is I don't even see them unless they need human attention, which is definitely not all of them. Let me show you how to turn your form into an automatic email response machine. First, I will show you that I already have this form created in Typeform, and Typeform is a free cloud-based form creation service. You can use this service or any other you prefer by creating your own account and following the instructions to create the form you need. In this case, you can see it's a very simple form called customer request that asks for basic user information and then gives them a choice of what type of information they need, the price or the product info. Now in N8N, we are going to create a very simple workflow that will connect Typeform with Gmail to send a special email to each customer according to the information option they have requested. So let's start by clicking on the plus sign to choose our trigger. I am going to type Typeform and select the Typeform trigger. This opens the Typeform configuration panel, which we want to associate with our Typeform account. And to do this, we select Create New Credential, and we're going to connect with our Typeform account using an access token. But where do we get that token? Well, remember that each form service has a different configuration, so the important thing here isn't to follow my exact instructions, but to know how to search. I will show you how I did it in Typeform, but this may change over time. So what's important here is that you ask yourself, If I want an access token, where can I find it? Okay, here in this case, I do this by going to the circle with my initials and choose account and choosing your settings. Here I have this personal token, which seems to be what I am looking for. And remember that this search might take you some work depending on the service you're working with, but that's what it's about, knowing how to find things. Take your time or ask ChatGPT. Here in personal tokens, I don't have any created, so I am going to generate a new token, give it the name like N8N token, choose all scopes, and generate token. This is your personal token, and be careful here for two reasons. First, never share this information. Tokens are sensitive information that can pose security risks to your applications if they fall into the wrong hands. And second, this is the last time you'll see your token, so you must copy it right now and store it in a safe place so you don't lose it. Now that we have our token, we return to N8N and paste it in the corresponding field. We click Save and we can close this window. Now the Typeform node in N8N is connected to my Typeform account, and therefore here in form name, it can find my customer request form and associate it with this trigger. We can now close this window and test if the connection was established correctly by hitting execute workflow, so our trigger starts awaiting for events. In Typeform, I enter my data, my name, last name, and email. I go to the next part where I choose price just to test and submit. If I return to N8N and open the Typeform node, I can see that in the output panel, we already have the information I've sent through the form, which means the connection has been successfully established. Now let's continue with the next step of our workflow, which is to identify whether the user has chosen priced or product info. To do this, we click on the triggers connector and search for the if node. We click on it and we see that this node already received the input from the previous node, and based on that, we're going to evaluate if the value 1, which is the label, what information are you interested in, we want to see if that value is equal to the word price. This way, my workflow can decide what type of email to send. Notice that if I execute this step, the output is directed to the true branch while the false branch has nothing, because in this example, we filled out the form with the price option. Now let's close this window and let's create the emails we want to send. In the true connector, I am going to search for Gmail, and here I am going to choose the send message node. This window is very easy to configure. I am going to rename it as send pricing email. And first, we're going to connect N8N with the Gmail account from which we want to send the emails. This is done by choosing Create New Credential. Here you can go to Sign with Google and follow the steps until the connection is established. In Resource, we leave Message, and in Operation, we leave Send. In Tool, we drag the user's email, and in Subject, I can put something like pricing information. Email type, I am going to leave it as HTML, and message is basically the body of the email. So here you can put whatever you want. I am going to write hi and drag the first name of the user. And then, thank you for your interest in our pricing. The price of the product is XXX. You can put any message you want to perform. With that, we have finished configuring the first node of email that we want to send. But to create the email for users who haven't requested pricing, I am going to simply duplicate the Gmail node using Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, connect this new node with the false branch of the if node connector, open it, rename it as info. Everything else is practically the same except for subject, which will be product information, and the message will say thank you for your interest in our product, and here the info of the product is XXX. And we're ready. Our workflow is ready to work. Shall we test it? First, we make sure the workflow is listening for events. We go to our form, refresh it, fill in the data again, submit a request for pricing information, And in N8N, we see that the gears have started turning, and since the if node has detected that what I need is pricing information, it has directed me to the correct Gmail node. Therefore, if I go to my Gmail account, here I have the information I have requested, an email sent by myself. Everything worked perfectly, so from now on, no matter how many form responses you receive, N8N takes care of everything for you. Of course, your workflows can be much more complex, include many decision blocks, evaluate many more customer parameters, include additional services like WhatsApp, Telegram notifications, spreadsheet, records, whatever you need. And if you thought this was all there is,
Every meeting ends the same way. Great discussion, clear action items, everyone agrees. And then I get trapped for hours processing the outcomes of the meeting. Why? Because I'm manually creating tasks from the meeting notes on the board one by one. Here's what changes everything. N8N can read the meeting notes. The AI finds every action item, who does what by when, and immediately the tasks are created, assigned, due dates set automatically. No more, I didn't know that was my task. No more forgotten deliverables. The meeting ends and everyone gets their tasks instantly. So let's set this up.
We're going to start with a simple demo. I'm already in this meeting that is just about to end, where different action items have been discussed and assigned. I'm going to end the meeting. And let's see how this N8N workflow works. And after that, we're going to build it from scratch. Now, right now, we are waiting for a webhook, and this may take a minute or two for it to trigger. So let's go here to executions. And we're going to see here one execution that has just happened. So if you're clicking on it, we're going to see the exact flow. We're going to see everything here has been successful. And if we're switching here to the board itself, we're going to see here that various tasks have now been set here. So now that we know that this works, let's build this from scratch. We will build the workflow in reverse order, starting with Trello. The next step is to search for a Trello action, so let's type in card. I'm going to select the option Create a Card. The first thing that we need to do is to create a new credential. For Trello, we'll need an API key and an API token. I included a document to take you through the process step by step. I configure my credentials and I'm going to click on Save. The connection was tested successfully, so we can simply go ahead and close this for now. What we're trying to do is to create a new card. So the operation is create, which is correct. The next part, which is a bit more difficult, is the list ID, which is essentially asking us in which list do we want to create this. In Trello, I'm going to right click, select inspect. I'm going to go to network. Make sure to enable the filter fetch/XHR. Let's go ahead and add a new card. We're going to see that when this request has been sent, in the list here, there's this cards word that appears, and this is actually a request that has been made. So I'm going to click on this. And what we're going to see here is part of the payload is this ID here. I'm going to go ahead and copy it without any quotes. Now we have the list ID. Let's also provide this card a name. And to test if everything is working properly, I'm going to click Execute Step. What you're getting back is a successful execution. So if we see something like this, this is just all the information that's coming back from Trello. Let's go back to our workflow. The next step is to add an LLM to the workflow that has the technical capability of taking a look at our meeting notes and extracting tasks from there if they haven't been extracted already. And we anyway need this in a special format, which is called JSON. So let's do just that. Gonna add a new node, select AI from the list. And what we're going to use for this example is OpenAI. And what we want to do is to simply message a model. So I'm going to select that. So how do we configure this? Well, there are a few things that we need to do. First of all, we're just going to take advantage of some free credits that N8N offers in terms of using the OpenAI API so that we don't configure another API key there. Apart from this, we need to select the model. So I'm just going to go with GPT-4o Mini. Inside the prompt, we need to provide pretty detailed instructions in terms of what we expect this LLM to do for us. As a resource to this lecture, we're going to find the following prompt. Let's just make it a bit bigger and quickly go over it. So the job of the LLM is to extract the data from here. We're going to analyze the meeting notes. Apart from this, we want to set here the role to system because this is the initial instruction that we're providing. Apart from this, what we want to do is to output the content as JSON. So the LLM is just going to return a JSON format, which is ideal for further processing this information. To test if this prompt is working correctly, we're going to add some mock meeting notes. Let's click on Add Message. This is going to be a user message. I'm going to paste here some notes. Let's go ahead and execute the step. So what we're going to see here inside the task, which is a list, we're going to see here 5 tasks that have been extracted from this text that we have provided here. So that's already pretty good. I'm going to pin this information. Let's go back. And the problem here is that we can create only one card at a time. We need to use another node, which is called a split out node. So this is going to turn a list into separate items, essentially calling the create card node multiple times. I'm just going to simply drag tasks. And we don't need anything else. Let's click on execute step. And what we're going to get back are 5 different items. We can also pin this information. What we're going to see here are actually 5 items right now. So this changes a bit how things are working. And we have managed to pretty much connect everything. And we can also go now inside create a card. We're going to see here that the input is coming from split out. And now we need to configure a few things here because currently our name is here pretty much hard-coded. So the way we want to do this is, for example, to have something like task name and here the person that does the job. So let's first replace the task name. I'm going to simply drag it here. So now we have the task name and we also need the person here. And we're going to put here a signee. Drop it right here inside the parentheses. So this is all that we need from this perspective. And if we want to, we can also add here a date field. And this is going to set the due date. Now for the due date, we need a bit of configuration here. So this is not so super simple. We can now go ahead and execute this step and see if it's working properly as it is configured. What we want to see, it worked. If we're taking a look here, we're also going to see this task that has been created here. Let's go back to our workflow, and there's still one more thing we need to do. We need to trigger the execution of this workflow once the meeting notes are available in Fathom. So for that, what we need to do is actually configure a webhook. So we don't need this here. This doesn't offer what we need. And we're going to add here a webhook. And this is going to start when the webhook execution has been called. What we need here is to use the post request method. And inside Fathom, we need to configure the test URL and also the production URL as a webhook. This is something that is again presented in a separate document. You want to make sure that you have listened for a test event, which may take a minute or two for it to appear, and to pin this information, because that's going to be relevant in the next step. Remember, inside the LLM, we have still configured some hard-coded data, and what you actually need is from the webhook to configure here this markdown format. So you can simply drag it here and have it inside the prompt, and now everything is dynamic. So this is how you can automate this workflow.
So guys, Monday is ending and we did all the boring stuff already. We automated almost everything.
I mean, I finished with what I had to do already at 8 a.m. because the report that I need to send to my boss every Monday has already been done. The 5 spreadsheets have been automatically merged into a report, and that has been sent without me doing anything.
Remember my notes from the meetings? Everything automated, emails sent, no one is complaining. What's the point you was?
This was amazing. I do not have to worry about forms ever again. Never. They're all automated, and all I need to do is go and check if everything is correct. But the best part, no code at all. And I thought I was never going to be able to do something like that.
Beautiful. Now, we showed you a few workflows, but this is just the beginning. There's so much you can automate: invoice processing, social media posting, customer follow-ups, expense reports, data backups, appointment scheduling.
The point is that if you do it more than twice, you can probably automate it.
So far in this course, we've been teaching you how to use AI tools that other people build. But what if I told you that you could actually build your own applications and tools using AI?
And by that, we don't mean learning to code for the next 6 months or something like that. We mean starting this week, solving real problems at work with custom solutions that you create yourself.
Now, this might sound intimidating if you have never written code before. It sounded intimidating to me. But here's the thing, recent developments in AI have revolutionized app creation. You don't need to be a programmer anymore to build functional applications.
This approach is called vibe coding. Instead of writing code line by line, you have conversations with AI about what you want to build. You use the language you already know, English, and you describe what you want, the AI generates the code, and then you refine this through conversation.
It's the same conversational approach that we have been teaching you throughout the course, but applied to building actual software. You're giving the AI prompts rather than getting stuck in writing code.
So instead of saying, I need to learn HTML and JavaScript to build a website, you just say, I want to build a simple invoice generator, and then guide the AI through creating exactly that.
So let's talk about what is actually possible. You could build a dashboard that pulls data from your company system and presents it exactly how you need it.
Or maybe you're tired of constantly updating the same spreadsheet every week. You could create a simple web app where team members input their data directly and it automatically generates the reports you need.
I've seen people build everything from employee onboarding checklists to project timeline generators to custom calculators that are specific to their industry. And these aren't just concepts, they're working applications that solve real workplace problems.
The key insight here is that you don't need to build the next Facebook. You're building minimum viable products, simple solutions that immediately make your life work easier.
Now, there are different tools for different comfort levels. Some platforms have incredible smooth learning curves. You can literally build a functional website in an afternoon without any technical background.
Or other tools require a bit more technical understanding, but let you build more complex applications. The beauty is that you can start small and gradually work your way up as you get more comfortable.
Yes, what you need to bring here is not coding skills, it's just curiosity and willingness to experiment and learn along the way. You'll probably break some things, create something that doesn't really work the way you wanted it. And you know what? That's completely normal.
The process is all about rapid iteration. Build something basic, test it, refine it, improve it. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for something that works and solves a real life problem.
The worst thing that can happen is that you build something that doesn't work exactly the way you want it. And the best thing that can happen is that you solve a problem that is been bugging you for months. Maybe you become the person in the office that can quickly prototype solutions.
We're excited about this because it helps people build stuff. So, are you ready to become the vibe coder in your team? Let's start turning your workplace problems into custom solutions.
We are about to dive into our first hands-on tool, and I choose Lovable because it's the perfect starting point for anyone. Here's what makes Lovable such a popular tool. You can literally type something like, build me a landing page for our team event, and get a beautiful functional website in minutes. No software to install, no complicated setup. Everything runs right in your browser. Want a company website, an event page, a simple portfolio? The most basic prompts will generate something you'd be proud to show to clients. So let's actually build something and see how it goes. Here I have lovable.dev open, where I already have my account created, and now comes the magic. Imagine that your boss asks you for a page for the company's annual event, and instead of calling designers or wasting hours on templates, you simply tell Lovable what you need. I will paste this prompt that says, create a landing page for our company's annual innovation summit, include a hero section with events date, the date here, and location, Miami Convention Center, a countdown clock, a registration form with name, email, and department, schedule section with 3 keynote speakers, FAQ section, and use professional blue and white colors. This is just an example prompt that you can ask for whatever you want, of course. We click here on the arrow and look at this. Lovable is designing our project, and in a few moments it will start building the code so we can see it completed. After a few seconds or minutes, depending on the case, Lovable is returning us a completely finished site, not just the design, but also the functional code. Here we have the title, the event details, the countdown clock we requested. If we scroll down, we see the registration form, also the keynote speakers. Since we didn't provide specific information, it simply created some speakers as placeholders. The FAQ section, where it not only wrote some example questions, but also some answers. And here, a very professional footer. Most likely, the first version won't be the final one. So now we could start iterating with Lovable to modify everything we want to change. For example, let's say we want to change the title and provide the names of the speaker, for example. So I paste this prompt that says, change the main title to Innovation Summit 2025, Shaping Tomorrow Together, and change the name of the speakers as Gustavo Escobar, Valentin Despa, and Fede Garay. Big names, huh? And without touching code, we are doing the work of a web developer. Lovable will change the specific part of our site's code to make our requests come true. And as you can see, now the site title has been updated. And if we scroll down, the speakers are now these fantastic instructors that you shouldn't miss. You can keep, of course, practicing with all the changes you can think of, not only content, but also style. And for example, let's say I have this image, which is my company's logo, and I want it to be part of the site design. Okay, we can include it this way, hitting the plus sign here and choosing the file that contains the logo, and we tell it add our company logo at the top. Lovable starts working on the redesign. It takes a few seconds, of course, and there we have it. Well, maybe it's a bit small, but we just keep asking for changes until everything looks the way we want. From here, your creativity has no limits. You can ask for anything you can think of. Upload photos of the speaker to add to the cards. Ask for the registration form to be more prominent. Make sure it adjusts to mobile devices. Change the color palette. Infinite possibilities, or smart work. All right, now let's say your page is ready, you like how it looks like. So now how do you share it? Well, this is super easy. You click on publish, and before publishing, you have some editable options here like the site URL and the description. And once you're satisfied, you click publish, and a few seconds later, your site can be seen by the rest of the world. You can now copy the link here, or you can share it on social media. And once you do that, you can open the site from any browser and enjoy it in full screen. And actually, so you can see this in real, you can go right now to this link and you'll see that the site we created throughout this selection is still online. Some important details. First, be specific in your prompts. Instead of make it pretty, give precise specifications like use navy blue and light gray colors with modern typography, things like that. Second, you can create anything, not just event sites, portfolios, dashboards, calculators. Just describe what you need. And third, every change is saved automatically. There's no save button because you don't need one. But this isn't everything. There's much more no-code programming in the next lesson.
Honestly, I never thought I could build applications like this. I don't write code, and when Val and Fede start talking about programming, I was out. But vibe coding changed that for me. With these tools, you can build applications or websites in minutes using simple prompts. And I'm going to show you a tool that I love called Base44. The reason I love this tool is because it has everything you need to launch an application, making it easier for non-developers like me, as you will see soon. For now, let's start creating a truly complex application in an extremely easy way. So this is Base44. This is the tool that we're going to play around with, and I bet you're going to love it. So the first thing, create your account, go to start building, and from here, follow the steps to create your account. Once you're ready, then keep playing the video. I am already in my account, but before we send any prompt, here you see a list of features that I would like to have in the application. And instead of writing the prompt myself, I am going to ask ChatGPT to write the prompt properly. So let's copy this and let's go to ChatGPT. And I'm going to use the dictation mode, which is easier. I want to create an application using a vibe coding app. I will give you the features that I want in the application, and then I would like you to create a prompt that clearly explains what I want to build. So act as a prompt engineer when preparing the prompt. The prompt should be simple, well organized, and ready to copy and paste. Here are the features that I want in the app. Now I just paste the features here, and ChatGPT will give me a well-organized prompt. Here it is. Build a business productivity application with the following features. Here we have all the details, style and UX, clean, intuitive interface. And I could say to give me a little bit more detail, but for now, this is going to work. That being said, when you are building an app, please read carefully the output given by ChatGPT. Refine your idea with the AI and follow our earlier recommendations when it comes to prompting. Now, I just need to copy this prompt. And we're going to go to base 44. We're going to paste it here. And we're going to send it. And as you can see, it is already building the app. Okay, and it is ready. It took maybe around 5 minutes, and base 44 completed the first draft of this application. And as you can see, we have a beautiful dashboard with the summary of the total hours logged and bill amount, hot leads, active projects. If we scroll down, we have here some examples of hot leads. These are all made up by the AI. If we keep scrolling down, then we have recent time entries, expenses summary, quick actions, log time entry, and other things. And on the left, we have the menu with tabs of the different sections that I asked for, which makes it for easy navigation. And if we click in this one, we have leads here, and I can add a new lead from here. Normally building these would take weeks or months. This is just incredible. Now let's go to time tracking here to the next tab. And oh, great. This is what I was looking for. As you can see, this page is not working. It says 404, page not found. It might say it some other way, but I'm glad this happened because it's possible that this will happen to you as well. In fact, it's more than likely that you will find some problem that you need to fix. So what we're going to do is screenshot this. And I am going to ask base 44 to fix this tab. So I'm going to paste here the image just with screenshot and then Control D. And I write this message to base 44 and it will start fixing the problem. See, when you're building any sort of application or website with a vibe coding tool, it is no different from what we have seen through the course with ChatGPT or Claude or any other LLM. It is about having a conversation with the AI, review the app, send prompts, and iterate to fix what is not working. It is important that you understand that the final application will not be completed and working perfectly right from the first prompt. You will have to keep iterating until you get the product that you really want. Well, base 44 says that it's ready. Let's go to time tracking. Now it says issues found. Here you have a description and it gives me this button here that says resolve with AI. When that happens, just click resolve with AI and it will take care of debugging any problem that it finds. Okay, now time tracking is working. Base 44 made the changes, and you can see that it is fixed. Look at this. It is perfect. Time entry. Okay, this is working beautiful. Now, the great advantage of this tool versus other vibe coding tools is that for people that don't know about coding or are not very tech friendly, this makes it incredibly easier because everything that you need for an application is already part of Base 44. Other vibe coding tools will build the front end, but you have to integrate it with other tools to have the back end of the application. What this means is that they build the interface and the logic, but you won't have a way to save the data or have people sign into your application, for example. But with Base 44, you have everything you need. Let me show you. If we go to the top here and we click in dashboard, okay, you see this? You'll find all these options. If we click on users, you'll find all the people that have signed into your application. If we click on data, you'll have all the leads, project, time entry, expenses. And of course, these are the ones showing because it is what we ask for. But if we create more features where more data needs to be included, then we'll have more tabs here. We have many options, as you can see in this menu, like the possibility to add your own domain here. And if you scroll to the bottom and click on settings, and now on authentication, we can see that email and password authentication and Google authentication are both activated. This means that the users can sign up using one of these two options. But of course, we could also activate the other options as well. And if we click publish, and now if we click on this button, it will take us to this page where we can create our account, or we can access, if we have already created one account, into Synergy Flow, the application that we just created. This is really, really amazing. Also, it's worth mentioning that right here, you have the URL of this application. So you can press here, copy link, and now you can share this link with your team so that everybody in your team can use it. Well, this is just truly amazing. I mean, what you can do now with these applications is unbelievable. Imagine how long and how much it would cost to build something like this a few years ago. I mean, I never imagined that I would be able to build something like this in my life. Now, you and me and anyone can have a powerful tool in minutes with prompts you don't even need to write. This is truly amazing.
This next tool is definitely not for everyone. Cursor is a full development environment with AI assistance, and it is significantly more advanced than anything we've covered so far. And here's the thing, Cursor requires you to actually download and install software on your computer. You'll be working more directly with programming tools, running commands, and creating files. And this is really for people who are technically inclined or want to develop their programming skills. The AI assistance in Cursor is incredibly powerful. It can write complex code, debug problems, and even explain what's happening at each step. So if you're thinking, yeah, I'm ready to level up my technical skills, then this might be for you. So let's see what Cursor can do for you.
The first step is to head to cursor.com and download Cursor on your own computer. Once you open it for the first time, you need to create an account and go through a few setup steps. And once you're done with that, you're ready to create a new project. Start with an empty folder somewhere on your computer and then simply open it using this open button project within Cursor. Let's try to build a simple compound interest calculator. Now, since with Cursor we can build more complex projects, it does make sense to spend just a minute or two to write down the key aspects of the application we are trying to build into a specification. And since Cursor is powered by an LLM, we can also use it during this planning phase. So let's head here into this chat mode. And first of all, what I want you to notice is this is set to agent. And if you haven't done that as well, please do so because this will be using an agentic mode. So right inside here, we're going to start the planning phase. And what we want to do is create a product requirements document to capture our app idea. So let's try and create this PRD document using Cursor directly. Help me create a simple PRD for the following app idea: an interactive compound interest growth graph app where users input initial amount, interest rate, contribution, and years to visualize how their investment grows over time on a line chart. Ask me follow-up questions. So this will be the initial prompt that we'll be using to get started the conversation. And probably the most important part is this one at the end, because this invites for a collaboration. Based on the initial prompt, Cursor had already started brainstorming about this application. And right here at the end, there are also some follow-up questions. And these are important decisions that we need to make in order to help Cursor better plan this application for us. So I'm going to spend a minute or two and go through these questions step by step. Once I answered all the questions provided here, the initial version of the PRD has been created. And what we need to do next is ask Cursor to store this into a file. Store this as a file in the current project. So what we're going to see here on the left-hand side is this file being created, the PRD document, and this contains essentially the specification for our application. Now, it's possible that this particular file already contains some technical information in regards to the programming language or the framework that is supposed to be used for this particular application. In this case, this PRD doesn't have any information whatsoever. If you don't have a preferred programming language, I highly recommend installing Node.js from nodejs.org, which is a very powerful platform for creating all sorts of applications. I would like to use Node.js for this application. So what Cursor now did is to create a tech stack and architecture. This is based on Node.js, which is what we have specified, but also from another perspective, there can also be other things that we may want to consider. So if we know exactly what we want, we can write it here. If we don't know what we want and we are just stuck or unsure what to do next, we can just ask Cursor for assistance just to understand like what are the options available and so on. I would say that for this particular application, that's absolutely fine. So we're gonna get started and implement this. So in order to get this up and running, we're gonna open up a new chat. We can also actually drag this file inside here and say, build this according to spec. And what will happen here in the chat conversation, Cursor will start building this application step by step. And as we go through this, we'll also be asked to run some commands. As Cursor is building the application, you're going to notice on the left-hand side various files appearing. At this point in time, we are going to be asked to actually run a command. So all we need to do is click here on Run. It's possible that throughout the entire development, we'll be asked to run multiple commands. This command here will actually now start the application itself, and let's see how it works. Some of the information that we're getting is that the application has been created and the server has been started. We're giving here instructions on how to run this just in case it hasn't been executed yet. We can also try opening this address in a browser, see if it works. And what do you know? It seems that the application seems to be working. We can adjust here the information that we have, and we can see how the chart is changing. We can also adjust the annual interest rate and also how much we're contributing on a monthly basis. So now this calculator has been built from just one initial prompt, which has been transformed in a PRD, which was the basics for creating this particular application. throughout the development you get stuck or are unsure what to do next, just ask Cursor for help. If you don't know how to start the application, just ask, how do I start the application? Or start it for me. Also, if you're building more advanced applications, it's probably a good idea to break down this PRD into smaller tasks and implement them one by one. Hope this quick introduction to Cursor has been helpful, and if you want to learn more, just check out the resources folder for more information.
Remember, guys, when we were in London and you Fede told us about vibe coding?
Oof.
At that moment, I thought another programming language for these two guys. And I honestly thought, this is definitely not for me.
I also was insecure about it because I thought, okay, this is going to be some auto-generated code created with ChatGPT, but it was actual code. It was creating apps from scratch using your own language and getting something actually running.
That's a good point. But in this section, we have just scratched the surface. And we are super excited to see the kind of applications you can already build with the skills that you have. But if you want to go deeper into this, check the resources.
So we cover a lot together. Emails, meetings, automations, vibe coding, even decision making.
Yeah, pretty much everything that makes work feel lighter and faster with AI.
Which is great. But before you wrap up, there are 3 things every professional really needs to keep in mind.
Data protection.
Compliance.
And accountability.
Yes, this is the part that makes HR happy.
Yeah, finally, something for them.
And honestly, it's the stuff that makes sure all the fun we had in earlier sections can actually stick in real life.
All right, we've spent this entire course showing you how to supercharge your work with AI. But there is something that we haven't talked about yet: how to do it responsibly.
Yeah, because being good at AI isn't just about knowing the tools. With great power
comes great paperwork. But no, be serious. It's about being smart about how you use them.
See, there are 3 critical topics to cover. And we thought we will make this a little bit fun. So we have 3 envelopes, and each one of us is going to choose one. We'll go figure out from there.
Yep. Okay. Let me see.
You go for me.
Okay, so I have data protection.
I have compliance. I always get the legal stuff.
And I have accountability. So let's do this.
Please.
So data protection. It sounds boring, but it is extremely important. So here's what it means in practice. Do not paste sensitive information into AI tools. That includes things like personally identifiable information, credit card numbers, health information, IDs, passwords, private financial records. If you share them with an AI tool, you may be exposing your company to risks you didn't intend.
Because once you put it in, you can't control where it goes. Some AI tools log the inputs, and in some cases, they use them to train models.
Exactly. And here's the simple rule. If you're not 100% sure whether something is safe, ask your company first. They should give you guidance on what you can or can't do with AI.
And that brings us straight to compliance. Right now, many companies are writing or updating their AI policies, and these policies explain which tools are approved, what type of data can be used, and what's forbidden. A good policy also defines responsibilities: who reviews AI outputs, how to handle sensitive data, and what steps employees should take if they are unsure. Following these rules protects both the company and the employees.
And it's not just about the company being strict. Compliance exists to protect businesses and employees.
Absolutely. A good policy protects everyone. It prevents data leaks, avoids legal risks, and makes sure the company stays in control. So if your company has a policy, read it. If they don't, assume the basics. Don't use sensitive data, no personal information, and no risky decisions made only by AI.
And like we said, if you are in doubt, always ask. It's better to wait for clarity than to put your company at risk.
Okay, so that brings us to accountability. See, AI can make mistakes, and very convincing ones. It can hallucinate facts, invent references, or give outdated information. And sometimes it reflects biases from the data it was trained on. which means you must always check the output, never copy and paste blindly. And if you share something, keep in mind that if it's wrong, it's your name on it, not the AI's. It's your responsibility, not the AI's.
Now, accountability also means transparency. Inside your company, be open about when you use the AI to help with the draft or analysis. Some companies even require labeling, especially for client-facing documents. It builds trust.
So the big rule here is AI can give you a head start, but you're the one crossing the finish line. Review it, fact check it, and own the result.
So those are the three big ones: data protection, compliance, and accountability.
Not flashy, but they are the foundations. They are what keep AI safe and useful at work.
So that's a wrap. We covered everything from basic prompting to building applications, from data analysis to automation, and most importantly, how to do it all responsibly.
And if you made it through all of that, you are not the same person who started this course. You've gone from AI curious to AI fluent.
Now you can get more done in less time, help your teammates, and actually know how to use AI to solve real business problems. Your company is going to love having someone with these skills.
And yes, you should let everyone know. So grab your certificate of completion and share it on LinkedIn. You've earned it, and that's a great way to signal to your network that you have the skills.
And most importantly, go use what you have learned immediately, because the best way to get results fast is to start applying everything you learned today. So thank you for watching. You are awesome.
Thank you for taking this course. Muchas gracias de corazón.
I hope you learned a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, take care and bye-bye.